regulation comeback, and Boston hangs on to win in overtime, 133 to 128.
I cannot believe that the Indiana Pacers gave up a 3-1 third period lead in losing to the Boston. Oh, wait, I'm again getting things confused. My fault. Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. Hope all is well. I'm Adam. That's Victoria.
Yes, it's hump day.
There you go. Very nice.
Yeah, and the sun's out.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Lot to do today. Day 2 of ACC baseball tournament play going on in Charlotte. Duke with a win last night. They trailed 5-0 to Virginia Tech, I believe, after 2 innings, and won it 11-8, I think was the final score. So, they came back. Was it Zach Morris came back, hit 2 home runs for the Blue Devils in a big win. We'll talk to Aaron Fitt about that in about 15 minutes.
Zach Morris.
Did I get that name right?
I was just thinking that's Saved by the Bell, too.
Is
Throwback.
it?
Yeah, Zach Morris
look at
was
that.
his name.
Were you a Saved by the Bell watcher?
Oh, yeah, that was my error. Yeah.
I was not.
Oh, yeah, big time.
I was not a Saved by the Bell watcher. I even like shows like Full House.
Oh, yeah.
I came to that
Step by step.
Well after the fact. Like I watched them in reruns.
Family Matters.
Only when my kids got into those shows.
Yeah.
Was in it was not Family Matters. Still have never watched. Although I was like, why Family Matters? There's apparently a song called Family Matters. Is it Drake? Or
Maybe.
is it no? That might be the Kendrick Lamar diss track.
Oh, it could be. Yeah,
Drake.
it could be. I was going to say Family Affair, Mary J. Blige, but no.
No. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that could be the diss track.
Before I get myself in all sorts of trouble, I'm just going to stop right there. But yeah, we got stuff to talk about, so we should just talk about it, so I don't get in trouble. Whew. I'm just going to mention this real quick. We'll get back to it if we have time in this part of the show because, again, Aaron Fitt's going to join us 12 minutes from now from Charlotte. I think it's BB&T Field. Is that what it's called in Charlotte where the Knights play, where the ACC tournament is? I don't know what the corporate name is for it, but the ACC baseball tournament's in Charlotte. But the NBA is about to announce a deal where ABC, ESPN, let's just say Disney, NBC, and Amazon are the new broadcast, partner triumvirate, if you will. So for NBC, we have the NBC basketball music. I wonder if we're gonna get a chance to hear our old friend John Tesh again, because this is a thing. I saw this news and all I could think of was, my gosh, where's Ahmad Rashad and Willow Bay?
Yes.
We can get NBA Inside stuff back.
Right.
And I'm sure Michael Jordan will come on and talk to his friend Ahmad Rashad all the time. I have no idea. Somebody told me that that's not going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what the relationship is. Anyway, congratulations to NBC. That was a great era of basketball. Not really. It was the 90s. It's terrible basketball. Awful basketball. But the sad part, and we'll get into this more later, is that next year will be the last year for the TNT show, where we have Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaquille O'Neal, because that show is the gold standard. That and ESPN's College Game Day for football, the two greatest studio shows around any sport. And I honestly think that TNT's Inside the NBA is the gold standard forever. Forever. They just get it. It's super fun all the time. Hey, a lot of that is Charles Barkley, but all of it, a lot of it is also, it's just a fun show and it's done really well. So next year will be the last year for that. Won't take long for certainly Charles, Kenny, to find a home. So maybe they go to Amazon. I don't know. Maybe Amazon does the Inside the NBA. I have no idea how it's going to work out. Some kind of
streaming service.
But that's where we are with that, and that is unfortunate for a lot of people. Kind of a bummer that it all ends that way. All right. The Indiana Pacers let one get off the hook last night. That was my little joke at the beginning of the show, that they blew a 3-1 third-period lead. Never mind. And I heard this because I received a couple of texts about this because I talked about it yesterday on the show. To me, Boston's significantly better than Indiana, but Boston likes to mess around and blow a game here or there. And I thought it might be game 1 and not game 2. And because typically what Boston has done is they have steamrolled the opposition in game 1 and then messed around and lost game 2. Well, I thought maybe last night would have been a valuable opportunity maybe to take part in. Plus 380. So I did.
Oh, boy.
And boy, did it look really good.
Yeah.
Until
it didn't.
Until it didn't.
No.
And that, kids, is why they call it gambling.
Yes.
So maybe the Pacers are just good enough to still beat the Celtics. That's what I heard, right? Maybe last night wasn't a fluke. Maybe their depth and their score. No, that's not the answer. And when you're not as good, and they proved that they were not as good in the overtime. And when you are not as good, allowing that to happen as they did last night just means that they have even less of a chance, and they didn't have a great chance to begin with. Like, I thought this series would go 5. And if you want to take the positives, look, I do think that Indiana can win a game in this series. I mean, if Boston messes around, Indiana might even win 2.
Yeah, definitely a gentleman's sweep.
But it's going to take Boston messing around for Indiana to win a game, because Boston done messed around last night.
Yeah.
And still won the game, even before the last shot. Even before the Jaylen Brown 3. 2 turnovers in about 20 seconds, and they gave up an offensive rebound, which didn't hurt them because Jason Tatum missed the follow. But you turned it over twice with a lead when all you got to do is hold on to the ball, and Boston's got to foul you.
Right. That's it.
First time they didn't because there was 27-point-something seconds left. They didn't have to foul you. But chances are they were gonna. So what are we doing? We're turning the ball over. That's what we're doing. And then there is the why not foul? You're up 3. Why not foul? There's that group. I am not of that group, but I certainly understand that it is a viable strategy. Don't at me for not being of the I don't foul up 3, because especially when you are not a great defensive rebounding team, you invite a loss rather than just defend. So let me point that out. Pascal Siakam. What exactly were we doing? I mean, you were there. You were there to the point where you actively avoided fouling. Like, it wasn't like you were late getting there. You were there. And then actively sort of got out of Jaylen Brown's way. Brown made a great shot. We don't have to make it any more complicated than that. But why did Pascal Siakam, he didn't even matador it. He actively tried to not defend. I have no idea if Rick Carlisle's last message to his team was no fouls. I have no idea if that was the case. But we see that all the time. Actually, we saw it in the Dallas series. Jason Kidd's telling his team, no fouls, no fouls. I think they were up more than 3 at the time, but the bottom line is when you tell a team no fouls, the processing is no defense. And when you have a timeout left, you could always challenge any foul that is called if, in fact, you don't foul. But Pascal Siakam, at least make Jaylen Brown shoot over your hand. I mean, you're not a center back in the box in front of your goalie. It's not going to be a handball situation. Defend. Anyway, you could also switch. And the problem there was that Jaylen Brown got wide open because Indiana didn't switch on the screen, so Brown was wide open. So, and then with it, you could do something with 5.7 seconds left when you inbound the ball at midcourt, but they didn't do that either. So I wonder, did Rick Carlisle leave? Was he there? Was he there for the last part of regulation? Was he there for the last play before overtime? Then in overtime, it was a comedy of turnovers and offensive rebounds, and Boston did absolutely the bare minimum and won. That's what they did. Whatever the final score was, Boston escaped with a Game 1 win. All right, here's Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle on the loss.
This loss is totally on me. With 10 seconds in regulation, we should have just taken the timeout, advanced the ball, and found a way to get it in and made a free throw or two and ended the game. But it didn't happen, and we made some other mistakes, but our guys just need to concentrate on fighting the way they fought in this game from start to finish, and we'll be back Thursday.
Yeah, that was the other mistake. I forgot to mention that. So my mistake too. Turnover on me. Yeah, when you're inbounding the ball, where they ended up turning it over for the second time, like you could have advanced it to midcourt. So you're not giving the ball back to Boston right there. Not that matters because there was enough time to do anything, but my gosh, it was just a comedy of errors. Tyrese Halliburton from Indiana on the loss.
Of course it's frustrating. Like, we felt like we were in position to win the game, but you can't dwell on it. What I will say, we've lost every game one, but we've responded well in all these game twos. So, I expect that from this group. I expect us to be ready to go. And yeah, I mean, we're all human. Like, we're supposed to be frustrated right now, but you can't dwell on it. Like, be mad about it, but once you shower, get it off, be ready to watch film tonight and tomorrow morning, and it's a new day tomorrow. And at the end of the day, if we won tonight, we weren't winning the series automatically anyway. So we understand there's still a lot more work to do, and we'll respond the right way.
Very mature. I would point out that you lost game 2 to the Knicks in New York, but it doesn't make a difference. I think that game probably was closer, but you still lost game 2 in New York. And you gave away a game you should have won. You had in your back pocket, and you screwed it up. Jaylen Brown from Boston, who hit the shot that forced the overtime on the win.
I think it's always great to come out with a win, but obviously we got to tighten up in some areas, and we're going to watch the film. I think majority of it was just transition. I think they just, we knew they were going to be fast. It didn't surprise us, but it's one thing watching it on film and then seeing it in person. They just got out of a dogfight with New York, and it just felt like they was just flying by us, getting easy layups. We got to be better. We got to match their intensity if we want to win this series.
Yeah, he said that on the court too. He said, "Man, they're fast. We had a hard time keeping up." Jason Tatum, who scored a lot of points, but really did not play a great game on kind of getting a reprieve.
It really just felt like we had a second chance, right? We didn't, the end of the third and fourth quarter, we didn't necessarily play well enough where we may have deserved the win, and obviously made some plays at the end. JB gave us a second chance by hitting that shot. We just talked about it in the huddle, right? We got a second chance. Let's take advantage of it. Let's not mess around, and let's figure out a way to win this game.
They did. You could argue that Boston stole game 1 of this series. At home, stole it. Because they were not good enough to win, except Indiana made it so. Indiana said, you know what? It'd be a good idea if you guys won. And there you go. All right, ACC baseball tournament. It has been one of those years where we have been stick deep in the hurricanes, and I have had little time to devote to like even catching up with Elliott Avent or other coaches in the league. Man, the ACC baseball tournament is chock full of top 15, not even top 25 teams, top 15 teams. And Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com, great clubhouse guy, joins us from Charlotte, where right now Virginia is hammering Georgia Tech in the fourth inning, 7-0. I think Tech lost to Florida State yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So the Yellow Jackets are pretty much done. Duke came back and beat Virginia Tech last night, which pretty much means that State and Duke tomorrow is for the group. Does that sit correctly with you, Aaron?
Yeah, you're right, as usual, Adam.
Just stop that.
We got
Just stop.
we got a dead game first. NC State's got to go through the motions against Virginia Tech, which is just a dead team walking right now.
Right.
I was talking with Elliott last night, just hanging out in the press box as he likes to do out here, and he was trying to figure out what he's going to do with his pitching. Does this game mean anything for them? They're trying to get maybe a top 8 national seed. To try to win this game. I think the answer is if they can get to the weekend, that helps their chances to get a top 8 more than going 2-0 in pool play and then losing. I think they're not going to waste a lot of arms against the Hokies. Is the answer, and they're trying to win this thing.
You're going to treat it like a Tuesday game against a lower conference opponent, right?
Yeah, I think that's the right play.
There's no question. This is the only drawback to the way the tournament is laid out, and they do lay it out for television. They try to give if that really is that big a concern, should it be that big a concern, considering I don't believe we're talking about millions of eyeballs. But the only drawback to this format is that it creates the possibility of these dead rubber games. I've always thought that the team that lost the first game of pool play should go right back. So it should be it was a team that, well, I guess it is. I don't know, but I don't like the tiebreaker being the team that wins that came in with the higher seed. I don't like that as a tiebreaker. I think we should have a tiebreaker based on what happens in the tournament, because I think every game should matter.
Yeah, and you could do something like run differential, which might be a fix that would make some sense for that.
How about fewest runs allowed?
Fewest runs allowed, whatever. You could come up with a tiebreaker based on performance here. And I think I'd be amenable to that. But I also think there's something to be said for, hey, you had the best season, and that should give you a little bit of a boost here. It's basically a single elimination tournament if you're the lower seed, and it's a double elimination tournament if you're the higher seed is kind of how it works.
Okay.
And yeah, you get some dead games, but I kind of view those like this. The selection committee views these conference tournaments as almost an extension of your regular season.
Gotcha.
So if you go 1-1 here, your aggregate conference record goes to 17 and 15 instead of 16 and 14. And so sometimes you're going to have a game that doesn't mean anything for the sake of the tournament, but it's like if you're out of contention on a Sunday at the end of the regular season, you still play the game, right? That's baseball. You have a lot of teams that are out of contention. They still have to play out the string. So it's a little bit not dramatic for the fans, I guess. So we hear griping from the fans every year about it.
Sure.
I think the coaches like the format, and I think it kind of works if you just view it as one more week of the regular season with a little bit extra on the line.
Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, at Aaron Fitt on Twitter. So how many ACC teams are in the running for top 8 national seeds?
Well, you got North Carolina locked in, I'd say, at this point, having won the regular season, by 2 games comfortably. Clemson, I think, is pretty locked in, too, with the season that they've had. And then I think you've got NC State and Florida State both kind of vying for the last spot or two. And I think the team that goes farther this weekend between those two has a pretty good shot at it. I think the high end of NC State's resume is unmatched by anyone in the league. All the series wins that they have are incredible, on the road. And just the blemish on them is just their only 32-19 overall. He didn't do great in the midweek stuff, and but I think the high end of their resume blows Florida State's away, but Florida State was kind of more consistent over the course of the entire season. So it's a race, I think, between those two, with maybe Oregon State, maybe Georgia still hanging on there. But I feel like Georgia having gotten bounced early from the SEC tournament, that opens the door for an NC State or Florida State to grab that last spot.
Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com, is joining us from Charlotte ACC baseball tournament. Wake preseason #1. Duke was top 15 and was in the top 10 for a good chunk of the year. Again, Duke won yesterday. Wake hasn't even played yet. I think did they join tomorrow? No, or they join? I think they joined
the next game.
Wake is the next game today.
They got Pitt coming up.
Oh, Pitt, because Carolina plays Pitt on Thursday. That's right. So what has happened to those two teams? Let's start with Wake. What happened to the top-seeded Demon Deacons at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, just a weird year. A team that's obviously exceptionally talented. There's a reason they were preseason #1, and they were in the Final Four last year in Omaha and had a decent amount back. They also lost a lot of pieces from that team, and
right.
They reloaded very well. You bring in a Chase Burns, of course, and Seaver King, who's a preseason All-American. He's a dynamic player, but Burns has been awesome, of course, for ACC Pitcher of the Year. But the other kind of returning guys that they were counting on to be also All-American types, Josh Hartle, who was an All-American last year in their rotation, and Michael Massey, they've just had uneven years. They've just not been able to kind of replicate the success they had last year, and I think that's probably the single biggest thing. They had some injury stuff early. Nick Kurtz was banged up, and it took him a while to get going. And then once he did, of course, he became a human wrecking ball as he's been throughout the course of his career. But they've shown they can beat anybody, and then they've had laid some eggs. They got swept at NC State last week.
Yeah.
Week before that, they swept Clemson. So it's just like that kind of a team. They've got a wide range of outcomes, but their ceiling is still as high as anybody in the country if they're playing well at the right time.
Yeah, and we all know if we know anything about the sport of baseball, it's like all you got to do is get hot at the right time. It doesn't matter. We saw that. Trying to think how many years ago it was now. Was it Long Beach State? Was it Long Beach State or Fresno State that went from seeded fourth in their little sub-regional to winning the national championship? Like Ole Miss did it too, right? Didn't Ole Miss have an incredible run? Aaron Fitt is joining us here. Could the Blue Devils ultimately host not be a top 8, but could they be a top 16 seed and host?
They've got a shot. They're in the mix. I think winning that series against Carolina at the end of the year would have helped, and they lost 2 out of 3 there at home. And so, they go 16-14 in the regular season.
Right.
For an ACC team that kind of gives you a chance if you can make a run in the conference tournament. It's on its own. It's not enough probably to host. RPI is at 20, which is just a little low for an ACC host. But if they can win some games out here, and they won yesterday, that's a good start. But if they can maybe get to Sunday, they could sneak into that hosting mix. Yeah, it's there's a bunch of teams that are still kind of jockeying for position. I'd say right now they're at the back of that pack, but they're alive in that race.
Truist Field is where we are. I don't know if it was ever called BB&T, but BB&T is now Truist anyway, so I'm sort of right. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. How good is the ACC compared to the SEC in baseball?
Yeah, it's not a huge gap this year. I think it's fairly comparable. Really, I think it's a pretty darn good year for the ACC. Those teams at the top: North Carolina, Clemson, NC State, as we talked about, Florida State. And Wake Forest maybe as your 5th or 6th best team, along with Virginia. I think there's 6 Central Omaha teams right there. And I think the depth of the league pairs pretty favorably with the SEC. There's a little, weak bottom there with Boston College and Notre Dame. Pitt, Miami didn't have a good year, so there's still kind of that bottom 4 that maybe not quite as strong as the SEC bottom 4, but it's not a huge gap this year. I think some years the SEC is clearly well ahead. I think this year is a little tighter. Who's
the best player in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
I think Nick Kurtz would be the first name that comes to mind, just as basically a 3-year All-American who's, a premier hitter who controls his zone and hits for power and is also a really high-end defender at first base. He's one that certainly comes to mind. You look at what Drew Burris has done for Georgia Tech as a true freshman. That's pretty loud. But I think my vote probably goes to Kurtz right now. That's I don't think he even won ACC Player of the Year, but he had a pretty darn good case.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes people vote for others based on real weird reasons. We see that in all sports. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. I appreciate you helping me play catch-up, but I'm looking forward to all – and I like the fact that we've got two North Carolina teams in two different brackets, two different pools. Not that we're definitely going to have – two in the Final Four, but it does appear that we will have two in the Final Four, and it would be really cool. I would love to see a State Carolina showdown on the weekend. Those are always fun, create all sorts of memories. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. I thank you very much for your time, man. We will talk again.
Adam, anytime for you, my friend.
Thank you. I don't know why it makes me laugh. Why does it make me laugh?
I don't know. Maybe you just are used to people being mean to you or something, like Twitter. I don't know.
it's like for other people, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I appreciate it. Like all of these people who come on, right? Some like make it seem like they're doing me a favor, like that I'm doing them a favor, and like no, that's not the way it works.
You just get nice people to come on the show.
We have more nice people coming. Amanda Gristovich from Front Office Sports is going to explain why. Let's just use the Sun Belt, where App plays. Why the Sun Belt is going to be on the hook for the major conferences making tons of money. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
As they say, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Canes fans, it was a great run in the stand. No, it wasn't. This sucks. Now it's time for a new look Canes. What will the franchise do tomorrow? Trade your favorites? Smash the piggy bank in free agency? Find out with us, your official home of the Carolina Hurricanes in season and the off season. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loan, and personal loans. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. Call now, 919-381-1760, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com, 919-381-1760, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing, made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories, all without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver, all the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew, 30 seconds, that's it. Done. Peace.
This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoor things you love to do. Hiking, jogging, biking, going to the beach. You name it, it can't be done. Don't go through the summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give new life to your achy joints like your knees, hips, back, and shoulder. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. This is the the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, who is an orthopedic surgeon who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine. He knew there had to be a better way. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain are here. Call 919-400-5473 with locations in Cary, Clayton, Raleigh, and Wake Forest. 919-400-5473.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Progressive presents Flo and Jamie announcing the Monster Truck Rally.
And here comes the Obliterator.
Whoa! And he's up on two wheels. That can't be safe.
I don't recommend flipping your car backwards.
Did he even check his blind spot?
And the car's on fire.
I definitely don't recommend that.
This is one of my recurring nightmares.
Progressive is all about keeping it safe, so bundle your home and auto for 24/7 protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Coverage not provided for monster trucks. Not available in all states.
This is Adam Gold.
I got news for you. If I see a hammerhead shark swimming near me in open water,
nope,
we're gone.
Bye.
We're done. I'll be on the dock.
I'm done. I've seen Jaws. You can't fool me.
Yeah, I'll be on the dock.
Yeah.
I'll be, or in the boat or something. I will not be.
Yeah.
I will not be in open water.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We spend a lot of time here kind of scratching our head or pulling our hair. Of course, I don't have any, so I can't do that. About how the economics of college sports is, I guess, distributed, how it works, all of that. And right now, the NCAA, who is trying to avoid yet another catastrophic loss in one of America's courtrooms, is settling a case called House versus the NCAA. And there are other cases that are also pending, which in this case might end up being jettisoned, but there are others on the horizon anyway. And it is going to cost the NCAA upwards of $2.8 billion to settle. Going to be spread out over 10 years based on the settlement. And I can't explain it because my head hurts when I try to. Amanda Kostovich, Front Office Sports, has been reporting out this story for a long time, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. What's up, Ace?
You know, I my head hurts when I talk about this too, but I guess I don't have a choice, do I?
Right. No. Well, you did. You could have said, no, I don't want to talk to you about it, Adam, which would have been fine. All right, so walk me through, because I have questions, and I know you point these questions out in your piece at frontofficesports.com, but walk me through what the agreement entails, and just so people know this, I'll save you the trouble. The agreement has been negotiated basically by the NCAA and the Power Four leagues, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the other 27 or however many conferences we have had nothing to do with this arrangement, and now I turn Amanda Kostovich loose on the story.
Okay, so here's the basics of the settlement, right? Because a lot of the details we don't know yet, and a lot of the details haven't been decided upon.
Right.
But the basics are the NCAA is going to have 60% of that $2.7 billion damage number to pay.
Right.
The power conferences are going to have 40% of it. After that, and theoretically starting next year, the power conferences and all the schools in the power conferences will be able to revenue share with their players up to a cap of around $20 million. Now, if you've been following all of these lawsuits, you're saying a cap. I thought that was illegal. I thought that's And you would be right.
Yes.
In order to make it legal, they're creating this ability for athletes every year to, opt out of it or challenge it, or
right.
That's what they're doing. That's the basics of the deal. Where the rest of Division I comes in is with the NCAA damage payments, because the NCAA has to find the money somehow. And how are they going to find the money? Well, they are going to reduce their revenue distributions to everyone in Division I to cough up part of that $2.7 billion, right? And the rest of Division I, I spoke with one source. There was a letter that was leaked, written by Big East commissioner, that was signed by 21 other. They all said we had no say in this.
Right.
Charlie Baker didn't even explain the terms of the settlement to them in a meeting that they had about the settlement. They found out about the terms in a document leaked to Yahoo Sports.
Yes. Right.
Imagine,
so,
if you will.
Let me just interject so people understand. Like the Big East, for instance, which just won with Connecticut their second consecutive NCAA men's basketball tournament. Part of the way the Big East and the other conferences make some money, since they don't have massive television contracts, is through performance units from the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The women's tournament is going to start returning units to schools and conferences as well in the future, and we are 100% supportive of that. But if those units are less valuable going forward, doesn't that disproportionately impact them because they earn so much less money because they don't have, for instance, the Big Ten just announced that they were distributing $60 million per school in the most recent year. So I guess it was the 22-23 season where all the figures are in, since we don't have anything close to this year being done. But the Big Ten was distributing a little bit more than $60 million per school. The SEC was like just short of $52 million per school. My guess is that the Big East is not quite there. So this is going to hurt them more.
Absolutely. And that was the whole argument, in Ackerman's letter about, how they are not defendants in this lawsuit.
Right.
And yet they are going to be, really impacted by this. However, we all have to sort of take our sympathy with a grain of salt.
Right. True.
Because they've all been benefiting from a system in which the people who generate the labor aren't paid. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what this settlement is supposed to rectify. But it's absolutely going to disproportionately impact them for sure.
Especially since the Big East doesn't even play football, right? And we always talk about college sports, but by and large, the explosion in revenue is almost entirely driven by football. It has nothing to do with it has very little to do, and it has probably negatively impacted men's and women's basketball and all of the other sports because of the increased travel time and all of the other things that is that goes into expanded conferences for money reasons only, not for any other reason. So I think it would even hurt me more if I were a Big East. Forget about being a fan, but if I worked in the Big East, if I was Val Ackerman, you referenced her, the commissioner of the Big East, it would make me even more angry because we don't even play football.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And yet, football, and specifically FBS football, and even more specifically Power Conference football, is dragging everyone along with it, with all of these changes, with all of these lawsuits, right? A lot of these lawsuits encompass more than just them, but yeah, that's absolutely the main driver because that's where the billion-dollar price tags are. Look,
right.
To be clear, the men's basketball tournament does, it is worth close to $1 billion a year and
Sure.
eventually will be. The women's tournament is now valued at $65 million a year. I think that's probably even lowballing it based
Yes.
on the ratings, So it's not like, these other sports or basketball isn't making money. But yeah, I mean, they're all being dragged by football and conference realignment and these media deals and in all of these lawsuits and changes for sure.
Amanda Kristovich, Front Office Sports, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show at A. Kristovich with an extra H on the end of it. Is that I don't know why I didn't realize that, but an extra H for happy. So you mentioned the cap, the $20 million cap that schools can, that's the limit to what they can distribute to athletes through revenue sharing. I've joked with other attorneys, I wonder if the NCAA even employs actual attorneys here or if they just use campus legal aid, because if you cap potential earnings, so to speak, and it's not collectively bargained, you're just asking for another antitrust lawsuit. Do they know this?
Well, they do know this. You wouldn't think they know this. But actually, it's the plaintiff's lawyers who have come out and said, well, we have a potential fix for that, which is that the athletes can, in court, object every year or opt out of the deal if they think they want to negotiate more. Obviously, that's not a formal collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
But it's supposed to be a way to challenge the cap and therefore keep it legal. Frankly, I can't speak to how, useful that will be. I think that, look, the settlement needs to be ratified by the judge. So the judge this is the same judge who has, presided over multiple major NCAA antitrust cases, the O'Bannon case over NIL, the Alston case, which went all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
She is very well versed. So I think if she sees a major antitrust concern, she's not going to ratify the settlement. So I do want to point that out.
And then what happens? If the settlement isn't ratified, do we just go to court? And by the way, Jeffrey Kessler, who's one of the best sports advocates, like attorneys in the country, he's in charge of two of the other lawsuits that would be settled here. I'm not even sure this is a great deal for players, to be honest, or the athletes, but it is what it is. If the judge doesn't ratify, what happens?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think either they could go back to settlement conversations because the NCAA and the power conferences want to settle. If they don't, they could go bankrupt. They've made that very clear.
Right.
So if I were, it's like, I think that's like a procedural court thing if they wouldn't be allowed to, but it's like you're allowed to settle at any point, right? So my guess would be that they would go back to the drawing board so long as Kessler and Berman, the other lawyer,
right,
the other sort of major co-counsel, would be willing to do that. I think they would. But I don't think they would be willing to budge much on the broad terms. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Like they're not going to allow the schools to accept less.
No, they shouldn't accept less, and they should probably just let this go all the way through court. Since if they're already bankrupt, just not financially, that's the way I've looked at the college sports deal that is currently. Look, I know a lot of coaches, and I have great respect for coaches that sort of wish it was still the old way. It's not necessarily about control, but maybe at some level it is. But that this wasn't out and out professionalism in major college sports. But when we're talking about the league signing billion-dollar deals, it's professional sports. At some point your business model has to change. So
yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad for the Sun Belt because they're getting dragged in. Although they play very good football, that'll teach them. Don't play good football. Nobody will watch it. Play very bad football and people won't watch it. Amanda Kristovich at A. Kristovich with an extra H at the end, Front Office Sports. Thank you very much on short notice. Appreciate your time as always, and we'll talk again.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Amanda Kristovich. At some point, just make them employees. If you read this story, if you read any of these stories, Amanda's done a good job at this at Front Office Sports. Ross Dellinger, she referred to the Yahoo Sports story. Ross Dellinger has been all over this. It just cries out for allowing the players collective bargaining rights, and then you negotiate terms of a deal. This solves your roster issues. It solves your cost certainty issues, which you can then get away with because they are collectively bargained. We are hung up on this notion that the athletes are not employees when they obviously are. What are we doing? All right, one-timers next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
The PGA Tour's next stars return to Raleigh for the UNC Health Championship. May 30th to June 2nd, hosted a few short miles from downtown at Raleigh Country Club. Feel the excitement watching Korn Ferry Tour professionals compete at one of the Triangle's most exciting sporting events of the year. From the stadium-style 17th hole to the expansive viewing areas, it's a fan experience you won't want to miss.
Great golf and great food from Empire Eats Restaurants and Two Roosters Ice Cream. Get your ticket today at UNCHealthChampionship.com.
Trust ACT Construction Equipment and Avant Articulated Loaders for the right equipment to help get your work done. Avant makes the most multifunctional loaders in the world. Whether you're a landscaping pro or homeowner serious about property maintenance, you need an Avant loader. ACT Construction Equipment is your authorized Avant dealer for sales, service, part, and rentals. Visit one of our 7 locations or actce.com for more details about Avant Articulated Loaders. ACT Construction Equipment, always the right equipment for the job.
May is Older Americans Month, and this year we celebrate being powered by connection, the profound impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on our health and well-being. Learn how AARP can help you find those connections and get the most out of life by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Grab a frosty mug and try the newest flavor from Bluebell, A&W Root Beer Float Ice Cream. A creamy vanilla-flavored ice cream swirled together with an A&W Root Beer flavored sherbet. A new way to enjoy your favorite root beer float.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we like calling North Carolina home because being local matters. It's why in every county, we have agents whose hometown is your town. That means we're there when you need us most, with personal service you'd expect from a friend or neighbor. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Friday Night Lights returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Get ready for tailgate tangling, bumper banging action when the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series gets ready to rumble in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Friday night, May 24th. Be there when NASCAR's rising stars put on a show at America's home for racing. Kids 12 and under get in free. It's the perfect kickoff to your Memorial Day weekend. Get your tickets at charlottemotorspeedway.com.
This is Adam Gold.
That answer fails on so many levels. Part of me wants to start the answer again and then stop it after each time. Is that a good idea, Victoria?
No.
That's great. Did you do that on purpose?
I did.
You did? All right. At the end, that was brilliant.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Chip Patterson next hour. Maybe he can help us make fun of the House versus the NCAA settlement. But I don't know. I don't really get what they ever do. But that's just me, I guess. They must have a method. They must have a plan in place that we just don't know about. Maybe Chip knows. All right, it's time for one-timers, questions and answers. Definitive answers. These will never be wrong.
No, of course not. Of course not. So we'll kick things off with some NBA. Last night, Celtics and Pacers went into OT. So for the next game, which key players need to maybe show up a little more for them Pacers? Or the Celtics?
It's the Celtics.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum's got to be better for longer. He scored a bunch of points last night, but he spent a lot of the game not doing much. Indiana is who they are. I think they've got they're deep, they're fast, they play up tempo and all of that. But ultimately, when you get here, the games slow down, and this is what I couldn't figure out. I didn't know where their points were going to come from when everything slowed down. I just didn't know. They looked very, very, just haphazard.
Just meh.
So, yeah, they just, I had no idea. Who's going to score?
Right.
Who's going to score? But because when you got to overtime, my gosh, they were a total mess. And yet, they were kind of still in it until, I don't know how many turnovers it was, and offensive rebounds. Turnovers and offensive rebounds ended the game for the Pacers.
Yeah.
But I just don't know who's going to score for them.
Yeah. Well, there's a new series. Tonight, the Dallas Mavericks are in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. So how do you see this matchup going?
This series is fascinating to me. I think Minnesota is super athletic, great defensively. Dallas has Luka. They need more from Kyrie, but it's not just those two. Dallas has added a defensive element. The way P.J. Washington is playing, Derek Lively II is just great. I like Dallas in the series, even though they do not have home court advantage.
Yeah.
That belongs to Minnesota, but I like Dallas in the series.
Okay. And Stephen A. this morning said that he is really excited about Anthony Edwards' matchup with Kyrie Irving. So do you anticipate this being an interesting one?
Should be. And Edwards is an elite player at both ends. And Kyrie is one of those. It doesn't matter how good he's defended. Kyrie can still get his because he is one of the greatest to ever do it. I am fascinated by that matchup. I actually give the edge to Anthony Edwards because of his length. He's bigger. And I think he is motivated by the defensive side of things as well as what he can do offensively. It's going to be a great series.
Well, length usually helps things. Now, moving on.
Does me.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I don't know. I don't have a lot of length either. But, so, moving on to the ice because I love playoff hockey, even though our poor Canes aren't in it. So, the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers start the Eastern Conference Series tonight. So, what's your prediction? Who do you think's going to win, and in how many games?
Florida in 6. Florida in 6. I think Florida is the best team. I've thought that, and I've said I had no problem saying it, even as Carolina was pushing the Rangers in the Metro. Yeah. I thought Florida was the best team, really, all year. I love their combination of they have offensive depth. They're dynamite on the blue line. Sergei Bobrovsky is one of those guys in net, and they play a rough and tumble, not even borderline, dirty style of play.
Yeah.
Give me Florida over the Rangers in 6.
Well, and speaking of dirty style of play, last but not least, do you think that the Rangers are actually going to bring Rempe back out to be a distraction for Sam Bennett?
Won't be a distraction. The Rangers might need Matt Rempe initially, but he can't play. So what are we doing? So they might, but I don't think it'll work.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hockey kicks back up with the Panthers and the Rangers in the conference finals. No, as Canes fans, we can't bet on both teams to lose, but there's plenty of other options. Hey, it's Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and like I mentioned, we have the NHL to make some predictions on, or there's sports like the NBA playoffs and the MLB. And whether you feel daring or you want to take the safe route, BetMGM wants to give you multiple shots, so they're offering new North Carolina accounts up to $1,500 in bonus bets. All you need to do is use code Victoria150 and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. And when you use the BetMGM app, you're going to have options like same-game parlays, live bets, prop bets, money line bets, and fun daily promotions. So shoot your shot at $1,500 in bonus bets using code Victoria150 and making your first wager. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event when Dave, the sales guy, asks, "Want to test drive the Rogue?" And I'm like, "Let's go." We're driving when Dave says, "Check out the VC turbo engine." I hit the gas and whoosh. I'm like, "Okay, I wasn't expecting that." Dave goes, "If you think that's cool, watch this." Dave shows me the miles per gallon and I'm like, "Whoa, that's pretty impressive fuel economy." Dave mentions, "These new cars are going fast." And in that moment, I had to have that Rogue. Crazy, right?
Wait till you hear how I got my Sentra.
Now get 2.9% APR financing for 60 months on Rogue. Shop the Nissan sales event. Visit your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city, 34 highway to 30 city, 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. For well-qualified buyers, 2.9% APR financing for 60 months on new 2024 Rogue and dealer stock. Example, 60 months financing at $1,792 per month per thousand financed. Actual down payment may vary. Subject to residency restrictions and INMAC credit approval. Not all buyers qualify. Dealer contribution may affect actual price set by dealer. Contact dealer for details. N6324.
Autobell Car Wash has been trusted for 55 years for high-quality service. We'll clean your car from the inside out. Now through June 2nd, buy 2 Super Poly Process Wash tickets at any Autobell for just $55.
Nothing makes being outdoors better than having the right gear and the right crew. So here's an idea. Let Mountain Dew supply the gear and you bring the friends. Because when you buy specially marked multi-packs of Mountain Dew, you can collect points and earn epic limited edition outdoor gear. So buy Dew, collect points, get gear, and get outside with Mountain Dew outdoor gear.
Open to legal U.S. residents 18 plus. Subject to program terms at dewoutdoors.com and 12/31/24. Void or prohibited.
For a limited time at Circle K, get 3 20-ounce ice cold Mountain Dews for only $5. Only on the Inner Circle app. Do the Dew.
Adam Gold here for my friends at CertaPro Painters, and I call them my friends because I have used them before, and let me tell you, they know how important your home is to you. They made that clear to me. That's why they're focused on helping you bring a fresh color to your home, and they're great in even the hard-to-reach places we have vaulted ceilings. Each CertaPro Painters business is also independently owned and operated. In other words, they live right here in our community. You can schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
He scores! What a comeback!
Visit GotBrian.com. That's GotBrian.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This is the Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The thing about the Rangers that's really fascinating in this series is, their power play may be second to Edmonton in the playoffs as far as being dominant, but their 5-on-5 play, their even strength play, has kind of been an Achilles heel for them all season. I think Florida has a big advantage at 5-on-5 for the most part, and that's why you see the Rangers play some of these close games. They're overly reliant on their power play and can't generate enough offense when it's even strength.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We'll talk a little Panthers football here in a second. The Rangers were actually dead even at 5-on-5 goals this year. It's hard to believe that you could be dead even at 5-on-5 and be the President's Trophy winner.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing to me. Carolina had the second-ranked power play in the NHL this year. So they obviously got a lot of power play goals, basically the same number as the Rangers did. But the Hurricanes were something in the neighborhood of like plus 22 at 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And even then, I thought Carolina wasn't as good 5-on-5 this year as they have been in years past. And the numbers kind of back that up. The analytics back that up. But it is mind-blowing that the Rangers could be this great and just be good enough at 5-on-5. So if Florida's penalty kill does a reasonable job, they should have no problem at all winning the series.
Yeah.
As long as they don't get power played out. We talked about the Canes and where they lost this series, 2-for-2 on the power play for the Rangers in Game 1, the 2 power play goals in Game 2, which were non-traditional power play goals. They were both avoidable, in my opinion, but the Rangers got their nose out in front of this series by winning games 1, 2, and then 3. That was a shorthanded goal situation. If the power play, if the special teams were even in that series that the Carolina played, Canes probably win.
Yeah.
Canes probably win the series. I mean, it maybe is just as easy to say if the Canes scored a power play goal in Game 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah. Different story.
Just one power play goal in one of those games. It's a different, I think the series looks a ton different. They didn't even need a lot.
Good thing for the Florida Panthers, they have Sergei Bobrovsky. So that's the one thing that we lacked that they have, which could help with the Rangers.
Yes, that is true. All right, take 2. So I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about the Panthers. OTAs, voluntary, going on this week. And we spend a poop ton of time talking about Bryce Young and what happened last year and why it happened last year and what can change this year and how will Dave Canales foster that, all of that. We spend a ton of time talking about the quarterback. But while we have focused on it, it's certainly not to any extent the way we have Bryce Young. What about another former number 1, not overall, but first-round pick? What about J.C. Horn? So we're going to hear from J.C. Horn in a second here, but this is year 4, and he is 22 for 54. Do you know what those numbers represent, Victoria?
Well, it's less than half, but that's probably how many games he's actually played.
Ah! Mm-hmm. See, I purposely didn't identify those numbers in the doc. 22 out of 54 games for J.C. Horn. He has had his 5th-year option already picked up. So we know that for the next 2 years, J.C. Horn is going to be looked at and counted upon. I am not against anything like that, but it is impossible to evaluate what he is. Is he a shutdown corner? It's a hope at this point because we haven't seen.
Yeah, we don't know.
We have no clue The most games he played was his second year. He played 13. That's darn near a full season.
Yeah.
13 out of 17. But 5 and 8, I think. No, 5 and I'm not even sure what the numbers are. It all adds up to 22.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
So
it's not a lot.
Has to play more than the games he has played.
Yes.
So that's where it starts. Here's J.C. Horn. Before we listen to J.C. Horn, while Carolina was changing all the offensive coaches, they left defense pretty much alone, right? Ejiro Evero is back, and because they had a very good defense last year, even though there were definitely holes defensively, including the fact that both of your corners were hurt. So here's J.C. Horn on the continuity.
It's always a benefit just staying within the same scheme. They don't really have to learn anything new. It's kind of just perfecting the scheme more and more. So it was a blessing to keep those guys on the defensive side of the ball, and it's made it an easier transition for everybody on the defensive side.
There's no question about that. By the way, the numbers were 3 games, 13 games, 6 games.
Yeah.
Total games played. He played in 6 games of 17.
It's not great.
Last year. So, honestly,
it's like 30%.
22 out of 54?
No, for the year. 6
oh,
out
yeah,
of...
no. Yeah, but 22 out of 54 is just over 40% for your available games in his career.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can get hurt in a given year. Anybody.
Sure.
Right? That's the reason they traded Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
They were terrified that was going to happen again.
Yeah.
It did happen. I think it was 2 years in a row, right? Just 2. Right? But the injuries were unrelated, but because running back, it scares the daylights out of you, and I understand why. Because running backs do decline. He, however, did not.
He's inhuman.
Right.
He's a superhero.
He is an alien.
Yeah.
All right, now here's one other than getting on the field, here's another way J.C. Horn feels like he can help.
Just trying to be more vocal. Like we had Dante last year, and he was kind of that leader. So just learning some stuff from him and just trying to pick up where he left off and just influence the group in a positive way.
Can't do that. This is the, I like to quote philosophers of sports. And I believe this is the great philosopher Chuck Amato.
Okay.
Who once said of T.A. McClendon, can't score touchdowns from the tub.
True.
So, and I'm sure I butchered that in many ways, and I should have screeched it.
Still
right?
Wise words.
Happy Thanksgiving! Sorry, that will always stick with me.
Yeah.
But if J.C. Horn can't get on the field, you can't be a leader because he's not done it. Not that he's not a good player or not a leader, but it's hard to have an influence in intangible ways unless you have done it on the field. And to this point, he's not been there enough to have done it on the field.
No.
Which is why I'm not saying that the Panthers made a mistake in picking up his fifth-year option. I'm not trying to say that, because if he plays this year and is healthy and shows what he's capable of doing, then the fifth-year option the following year is a bargain, and you're happy about it. But if he gets hurt again,
if history keeps repeating itself, then
I shrug at it.
I mean, I like that he wants to be positive and be a leader, but yeah, the guys aren't going to take you seriously if you're not actually playing football.
You can't lead if you haven't been able to do it. So there is that. I want the Panthers. I want this to work itself out. I want him to be great. I really wish that they had invested not in the running back, but in a defensive back to play opposite.
Yes.
J.C. Horn. I never liked Dante Jackson. I always thought he was just okay.
He's not reliable.
And he wasn't either. And now he's not here. But
yeah,
I think that was part of the Deontay Johnson trade, was it not?
Yeah, it was.
Right, you turned
because it was Deontay with Deontay.
Yeah,
it was like a Spider-Man meme almost.
Frankly, give Dan Morgan and company credit for turning Dante Jackson into, I think, somebody who will be a productive player for the Panthers. Chip Patterson, talk about productive players. He's going to join us on the other side. Somehow, Chip came up with 100 storylines for the upcoming college football season. I'm not going to ask him really about any of the storylines. I'm going to ask him how he came up with 100. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Are you a big rock, paper, scissors person?
Absolutely.
Okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Man, best of three. Ready?
You can't change the rules.
Why not?
All right, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, he got me. He got me.
And she put the rock. Yes!
Oh, I thought he'd go scissors again.
It really is a psychological game.
Unsportsmanlike. Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Adam Gold here from my man Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. Can I talk about ideas, really, really great ideas, just for a second? Like the Pop-Tart. What a great idea. I don't even like Pop-Tarts, but it's a great idea. It's a little pastry, hold it in your hand, plop it in the toaster, comes up, boom, burns your mouth if you get the iced ones. Don't get the iced ones. Or how about this idea? A no closing cost mortgage. Save yourself thousands. I have 11 mortgages at Miller Lending and never paid a dime in closing costs. I've saved about $50,000 in closing costs. All closing costs do is lower your monthly payment by about $50. If you pay closing cost, A, you got too much money. B, you're betting that the rates won't drop in an 8-year period because that's the break-even point. And we all know that they will. In fact, over the last 2 weeks, they have about a half point. Miller Lending, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146. Never pay closing cost. It's your money. Keep it. MillerLending.com.
Oh, this North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club espresso is strong.
Pace yourself. New winners tend to overdo it on the coffee. And with new scratch-offs out, well...
Hey guys, I'm a new winner. My name's Steve. What's your name? I really love this coffee. Wow, this place is great. Glad I grabbed a new scratch-off. Okay, nice to meet you. Gonna get a massage. Ooh, I think I need to relax.
Told you.
This month's tickets pack $135 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall to winning range from 1 in 3.41 to 4.25. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Fellas, don't get stuck on first base. Hit a home run with help from Arise, the urology clinic for men. We can help your performance with Core Wave Therapy, a pain-free, drug-free way to break up blockages and get you back in the game. No pills, no painful injections, and it only takes about 20 minutes. Score real help for your ED issues from Arise Urology Clinic for Men in Cary. Call 919-459-5400 or visit corewavetherapy.com.
The Triangle is going to be hopping this summer with great soccer. June 5th through the 10th is TST, a 7-on-7 men's and women's tournament at WakeMed Soccer Complex featuring 118 matches. Then July 23rd, International Giants Manchester City and Celtic face off at UNC. Save 10% off tickets by going to fcseries.com/Carolina. Use promo code TRIANGLE. That's fcseries.com/Carolina. Promo code TRIANGLE for 10% off.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
This is Adam Gold.
He takes the hat. It was like somebody works there where was wearing a baseball cap. Takes it off the kid's head and puts it on the hostess station. Just takes the hat off this guy and puts it down.
Excuse you?
Like, that's exactly what I went. Like, excuse me?
Right.
Well, what are you doing?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. I am, because the 15-year-old, Jack, is fully into full swing. Season 2, the PGA Tour running doc on Netflix. I am now, all I'm thinking about are future Ryder Cup teams. We don't even know who the Ryder Cup captain is going to be yet for next year. It's supposed to be Tiger. Actually, it would have been Phil, but it's not going to be Phil. But it should be Tiger, but they haven't announced it because Tiger hasn't committed to doing it.
Yeah.
So, who knows who it's... I mean, can we just get Davis Love to be the captain again? Love was very good at it. Apparently, Freddie Couples is never going to be a Ryder Cup captain. Anyway, it's all I'm thinking about. We have the President's Cup first, which is going to Montreal this year, so that's sort of Ryder Cup light. Maybe that will come up with our friend Chip Patterson, because we always like to bring up golf when we have Chip Patterson on. We have other things to get to first. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great. I've got my list. I mean, I know sometimes we tease something and we never get to it.
Right. I think I did that last week, and whatever I teased last week, we're not going to get to unless I accidentally do it. First of all, this is what fascinates me, because I like to see what you have written. So there's no way on this planet I could come up with 100 storylines for the upcoming college football season. Not a chance that I could come up with 100 different topics dealing with college football. Granted, you're talking about all of college football, but
right.
And honestly, I don't even want to get into the topics. I'm just amazed that you came up with 100, and I encourage people to go read Chip Patterson's stuff at cbssports.com. But let me just get your thoughts on where we are with House versus the NCAA and that settlement, and how the ACC and the Big 12 are on board, even though disproportionately it will cost them money too.
Yeah, the stuff that we know is all about how they're going to pull together the money,
right?
Which, to be fair, is important when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar settlement.
$2.77 billion, Chip.
The things that I am the most interested in, the things that are going to be most impactful in the future of college sports, nothing. I mean, all that's been reported on are very, very vague languages from memos that the NCAA is sending out. And again, I understand order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, all that stuff. But I would like to know, okay, so what does the revenue sharing structure look like? How do scholarships factor in? How does Title IX factor in? Or is there a cap on any kind of spending that can be done? Or is there a floor that you have to do? Because the things that matter to me about the future and getting into this revenue sharing future is about whether there are schools who are competing at the highest level, and my focus is going to be college football, but I realize college basketball is impacted here, both men's and women's, that are there going to be schools that look around and say, this is not for us, that we know who we are and trying to play in this game where any upwards of $20, $30 million, maybe even more, is being committed to a revenue sharing operation? Do we want to find a different type of college competition? And that's where it's not going to be a breakaway. People talk about the SEC and the Big Ten breakaway. Now, I wanted the Super 2 Advisory Board, the STAB, as I like to call it. They're not going to break away. What they're going to do is they're going to change the barrier for entry. They are going to say, you have to be at least this tall to ride this ride. And they're going to be schools that are going to extend themselves beyond belief so that they can have the status of being able to ride this ride. And so I want to know all that stuff. None of that is what we know about the House settlement. All we know about is that scoreboard that shows, it's not funny because we're talking about millions of dollars that are actually going to have to come from these schools, but it's kind of funny that after all this talk about the revenue gap, we're using the NCAA payout metrics to be able to decide who has to pay more. And so the ACC ends up paying more than the SEC, when the whole reason why everyone's saber rattling around the ACC is because the SEC and the Big Ten are getting more. I mean, maybe it's not hilarious, but it is wild.
I think it is. If the NCAA is going to, essentially because of football money, this is entirely a football situation.
Hey, college football playoff. They have constructed one heck of a. I don't know if it's like a shell corporation. I don't know how to do all that, but they have somehow created the ability to have all of the power and none of the liability.
So,
man, that sounds like a great job.
Wouldn't you like to ask Jim Phillips, and I will, if they will consent to come on the show? Wouldn't you like to ask Jim Phillips, why are you signing this?
No.
You wouldn't like to?
Sure. Excuse me. It is a fair question, but I think that Jim Phillips wasted. All right, hold on. I want to be careful with my words here because I know that this is an unprecedented statewide platform, and it does reach the league office in Charlotte, and I know they love the Adam Gold Show. So I want to be careful with my words.
I mean, I say enough how much I love Jim. I mean, as a human being, he's amazing.
I think the Alliance wasted his veto power. I think that he used whatever obstruction token that you have in these things on preventing the expansion of the college football playoff the first time. And
if we expanded the playoff a year before, the payout is completely different. It's equitable across the board. All four. We have 5 conferences, but certainly all 4 conferences. Right, exactly.
Maybe even does. So I think that you cannot be an obstructionist at every turn, or they will run you out of the paint. And I think that he used up those points, those tokens, whatever you want to call it. I think that that's where you got to just see where this thing is going. Because that's what's happening is Big 12, ACC, SEC is probably going to do it on Thursday. I mean, this is rubber stamping.
Yeah.
Everyone understands that this is what we got to do. And so, I don't see anybody. The lower conferences are kicking and screaming, but they're not the ones on the lawsuit. It's the power conferences and the NCAA.
Right. The Big East is not on the lawsuit. The Sun Belt's not on the lawsuit.
Right.
But they're also going to pay disproportionately because they'll receive less money from the NCAA.
Big East is getting probably a worse end of the deal than the ACC is at this point.
Agreed. I mean, however many units UConn just got them for back-to-back NCAA championships, and a third possibly on the way. Chip Patterson is here on the Adam Gold Show. Is there anything the ACC and the Big 12 can do to bridge the gap? And I'll just leave it there as open-ended as possible, because the Big 12 is actually going to get less playoff money than the ACC. I don't even understand that. Like, why aren't those numbers identical? But whatever. Is there anything these two leagues can do as a whole unit? Form their own alliance. Call it something else, though.
Right. Don't call it the Alliance. We can't do that ever again. You cannot bridge the gap.
Well, you're not going to make a difference in bridging the gap, but at least grow the pie a little bit bigger as a twosome.
Not as a twosome. I don't think the ACC and the Big 12 are running together, and they're not going to do an us versus them. Right. I think the only thing you can do is just like the ACC used to make the most money of any conference. Mm-hmm. Didn't mean that the ACC won everything.
ACC wasn't that long ago, Chip.
I know the ACC made less money than the Big Ten and the SEC. Still won national championships in revenue sports. I think that it's got to be back to performance. I think in general the money counting scoreboard is loser behavior. But
you're preaching to the choir here.
I don't like it. It's just not the way that I view sports. And it's definitely not the way that I think I view college sports, something which is so much more about, the human and unpredictable nature of all this. I do a lot of work for CBS Sports, for Sportsline, a lot of gambling content. And guess what? The favorite doesn't win every time.
No.
So I think that the close the gap goal, I think your goal should, this is where Jim Phillips, who's listening right now, is going to agree with me. He's nodding his head. He's saying like, yes, like this, it should not be, you should not win automatically. The Big Ten makes gobs of money. And how many national championships do they have to show for it?
I've been how long have I been telling you? The Big Ten is going to be the wealthiest conference. Doesn't matter what they're doing on the football field. They're going to be the wealthiest conference. They will always pull in more money than the SEC for all of the SEC's championships. And the gap in the most recent figures in terms of money distributed per school was a gap of about $8 million between the Big Ten and the SEC. I say it all the time. I don't understand why just because, and I'll just use Florida State and Florida, just because Florida gets, I don't know, let's say $80 million a year to operate from the league, why Florida State's $45 million is inadequate just because the guy down the street has a boat and another boat and another boat doesn't mean that you can't make do with your boat. But that's not how they look at it. They look at it as they're competing at that end too. But I'm just not wired that way. But
it's even lower than recruiting rankings as your method of success. And if that was the case, Miami would have more than one double-digit win season in the last 20 years. Yes, the Miami Hurricanes, who have one double-digit win season and 0 conference championships in 20 years of ACC membership.
That is very, very true. Chip Patterson, who joins us every Wednesday here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, final thing on this, and then we'll throw some golf in. Paul Feinbaum, I guess it was yesterday. This was brought up. I go on with the guys in Charlotte on WFNZ every Wednesday, and apparently Feinbaum said that there's only one slam dunk school that would be attractive to the SEC. If the ACC dissolved, and I guess I have a follow-up question about this anyway, and that's North Carolina. How many ACC schools would be legitimately attractive to the SEC?
He's not. I don't think he's wrong about North Carolina.
I don't either. I think he's 100% right about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the SEC wants to expand.
I agree.
I think that, like in the Texas and Oklahoma case, Texas came knocking.
Right.
When Texas knocks, you open the door.
Oh, because Texas is, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, and North Carolina financially, like if we can pull out the athletic department budgets, again, counting spreadsheets is loser behavior. Go win it on the field.
Right.
But North Carolina brand recognition nationally, you are on that same list as Texas at the very top. So if North Carolina comes knocking, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Mountain West, the SWAC, it's like anybody would say, like, yeah, sure, absolutely, come on.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's been an interesting. I heard David Hale, mention this when because he got to cover some of the board activity that happened last week. And he said it was just so funny to him because North Carolina's got the best hand. They can just sit there. They don't have to be the bad guy. They don't have to undergo all the legal trouble. They can just sit there and wait because either the Big Ten or the SEC would open their doors to North Carolina. Now, that would get them to 17. Would they want an 18? And if you were going to take an 18, who from the ACC would be the most attractive? I would guess that they'd throw Virginia in there just because it is unclaimed territory. But you could talk me into a couple other options.
Give me a couple of other options.
No, I think that's it.
Not Virginia Tech. Virginia over Virginia Tech if you were the SEC?
I'm relaying what I have heard from people who are more into that kind of stuff and actually having those kinds of conversations. I'm not talking about your realignment experts on Twitter. when I'm speaking to people who are really into trying to get a sense
Right.
for what the university presidents are talking about, because the Big Ten and the SEC are constantly evaluating potential new members so that when the time comes, you can hit the button. We don't need to debate over it. The decision's already been made. I mean, that's what happened. Oregon and Washington, they came and they were like, hey, we're not going to sign this deal. I know that we told all the other Pac-12 presidents we're going to sign this deal.
Right.
We're not going to sign this deal. We'll take a cut rate. We would like a home in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten, which had already previously explored Western expansion and discussed it with its presidents and its expansion committee, then was able to act swiftly to get it through. So when I talk to people who are have knowledge of these expansion debates, I hear the SEC has no appetite for expansion, and that after North Carolina, I hear Virginia often mentioned if someone's trying to hit territory they're not in, which means no Clemson, means no Miami, like those other programs that might be attractive to the Big Ten.
I'm sorry.
Not the SEC.
I would be here for SEC expanding to Carolina and Virginia, but not Florida State and Clemson. I would die. I would laugh myself absolutely to sleep.
Well, in football, the things that would happen is, I'll tell you who's voting on it, is they're looking at 2 W's.
Right. Of course.
Like
somebody's got to lose.
If I'm Texas, if I'm Oklahoma, if I'm Texas A&M, yeah, come on.
Somebody's got to lose, man. Not everybody can win, which is going to be an eye-opening thing when those 2 leagues basically only play each other. Because somebody's going to take a whole bunch of L's. All right, let me get to golf. And maybe this is the better way to put it, because what I texted you right before we went on was, could you come up with a President's Cup team? And this is what I'm really looking for, is a Ryder Cup team, because the President's Cup, honestly, it's just a PGA Tour event. I'm not trying to knock it, except I just did.
I like it as the training ground for the Ryder Cup, the same way that...
Except that there's no correlation, unfortunately, because the U.S. dominates the President's Cup every single time.
If you work on your pairings, it's like the World Cup leading into the
Yeah,
Olympics.
but that didn't help this time either, because Cantlay and Schauffele stunk in Rome, and they kick ass every other place. So I wish there was a correlation there, except in Jordan Spieth's singles record, it is very much the same. Right now, if you were putting together I'm going to say a Ryder Cup team, would Spieth and Thomas be on it?
Yes, because
they would not be on mine, and I love both players.
Listen. I believe that. Because they would be taking spots of, like, they would be taking Harris English's spot. They would be
not
taking
on my team either.
And by the way, it's no Bryson, no Brooks, right?
Why?
Because, okay. I didn't know.
No, they're both on my team.
I thought that Liv couldn't do Ryder Cup or President's Cup.
No, they can. They can. Well, they can't do President's Cup, which is why I just changed it to Ryder Cup. They can't do President's Cup because that is actually a PGA Tour event.
Okay, so I've got Bryson and Brooks in my top 5, and I'll figure it out. So I've got Scotty, Xander, Colin, Bryson, Brooks, Homa, Cantlay, JT, Sahith, Wyndham, Big Tone, Spieth.
Yeah, the only I've got Brian Harman on this team too. He has not had a good year, but I think Brian Harman. I mean, I could certainly be talked out of Brian Harman.
I should talk you into Spieth instead of Brian Harman.
Sort of.
All for Michael Greller. We need Michael Greller in the team room.
Spieth's caddy.
When I was watching, because what was it? It was Spieth, Brooks, and who else was in that threesome for the first 2 rounds of the PGA Championship? I mean, it was wasn't it Homa, Max, Spieth, and Brooks?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, we're all playing. Oh man, vibes were so great on that first round. I mean, because Greller talks to all of them.
Right.
Like everybody loves coming to talk to Greller. And so I think for Greller alone, you've got to give Spieth a little bit of a bonus. But I mean, yeah, I'd like to see Sahith there.
He's on my list. So is Dustin Johnson, by the way. And I understand the hesitancy with DJ since he really hasn't done much in major championships the last couple of years. But I contended that they should have put him on the team last year, and because they could have put him on the Ryder Cup team last year. I didn't think Bryson necessarily deserved it, but Bryson DeChambeau now, I mean, he's a Ryder Cup player 100 times in a row.
So
gotta have him on the team.
DJ's form has basically been lackluster since the start of 2022, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I'm still putting him on the team. I mean, it's the same reason, honestly, the same reason you put Spieth or JT on the team. You're hoping. Right now, you're just hoping for those guys.
Yeah.
So
we're not that dissimilar.
I think the teams are incredibly similar. That's why I rephrased the question. Because to me it comes down to and it was funny because I was watching Full Swing, and we have to run, but I'll close on this. I was watching Full Swing, and it was the episode where Zach Johnson was going through his captain's picks. And if I were Keegan Bradley and I was watching, and I know he's watched the episode, it has to make him even more sick today that they're at the Open Championship, and at the house where these guys were staying, it was Zach Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and Justin Thomas all staying together. Of course those three guys were going to be picked. Of course. It's like the biggest no-brainer in the world. And I'm not even saying that Keegan deserved it over them, but it didn't hurt that Keegan wasn't, or it didn't hurt the other guys that Keegan wasn't part of the clique.
Right.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Is the new season good?
Yes, very good. Very good. It's a great doc, man. If you're a golf freak, it's absolutely must see. So I got to go back and watch the rest. I only watched the first 5 or 6 episodes of season 1. I don't know how many episodes there were.
I think there were 8. So you saw most of it.
I saw a little bit more than half. So yeah, but I got to go watch the rest of season 1. But season 1 was fascinating, and so far this is as well. And we haven't even gotten into we had a little bit into the boardroom based on all the angst and everything that's going on. That is Chip Patterson, my friend. CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast, at @Chip_Patterson. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
See, that's where I forgot last week. I forgot the sounds good. I forgot the sounds good when Chip just disappeared. Remember last week? Were you here last Wednesday, or was it Graham who was here last Wednesday?
No, I think I was here last Wednesday.
So, I asked Chip a question, and he just disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
The video cut out.
Yeah, it just went dark. Yeah, he was in mid-sentence, and then he, poof, disappeared.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
I know.
Still our only guest with a with a flourish,
I know.
A little catchphrase on the way out. All right, we're going to stretch. We're going to place bets, but as big a golf fan as I am, and as big a fan of Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler, it's hard to make a case that they are slam dunk, have to be on the teams. And I made that case for Justin Thomas a year ago. I made it. Because I think he had done enough to deserve it. But, man, he's got to get back at it. He's got to start, being one of the top players in the world again. Same with Fowler, same with Spieth. And not just, they're kind of hanging on the periphery of the world rankings. Remember that none of the guys who left for the LIV Tour are getting world rankings points. Bryson just did because he finished second in the PGA, so it'll boost him. But if you don't finish high in the majors, you get nothing. So kind of compute that when you put in, stick 15 guys in from LIV in your top 40 and then push some rankings down. All right, we're going to stretch, and then we'll place bets next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
May is Older Americans Month, and this year we celebrate being powered by connection, the profound impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on our health and well-being. Learn how AARP can help you find those connections and get the most out of life by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Saturdays are for action-packed racing. A sun-drenched Saturday of speed is coming to Charlotte Motor Speedway when the NASCAR Xfinity Series takes center stage in the BetMGM 300 on Saturday, May 25th. It's a no-holds-barred showdown of NASCAR's rising stars dueling for glory at America's home for racing. Kids 12 and under get in free. It's maximum fun and maximum value. The BetMGM 300, May 25th. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com.
The PGA Tour's next stars return to Raleigh for the UNC Health Championship. May 30th to June 2nd, hosted a few short miles from downtown at Raleigh Country Club. Feel the excitement watching Korn Ferry Tour professionals compete in one of the Triangle's most exciting sporting events of the year. From the stadium-style 17th hole to the expansive viewing areas, it's a fan experience you won't want to miss.
Great golf and great food from Empire Eats Restaurants and Two Roosters Ice Cream. Get your ticket today at UNCHealthChampionship.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Grab a frosty mug and try the newest flavor from Bluebell, A&W Root Beer Float Ice Cream. A creamy vanilla-flavored ice cream swirled together with an A&W Root Beer flavored sherbet. A new way to enjoy your favorite root beer float.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today. At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we like calling North Carolina home because being local matters. It's why in every county, we have agents whose hometown is your town. That means we're there when you need us most, with personal service you'd expect from a friend or neighbor. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
It is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is America's #1 sports book for a reason, people. Adam Gold here, and new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Just tell them you know me. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up. Hurricanes goals, Nikola Jokic triple doubles. I don't know. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you make your first $5 wager. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to get started. It's that easy to make sports even that much more enjoyable. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only, $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
This is Adam Gold.
North Carolinians wagered $659,308,541 on sports.
It's a little bit.
Treat it as entertainment only. Just look at it as fun.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. I'll just say this part right now, then we'll stretch and we'll place bets in a minute. I was this close to Indiana beating Boston and cashing a plus 380. That close.
Yeah.
My reaction when Jaylen Brown was allowed to shoot the three I didn't have to see it go in. I knew it was going in.
Yeah.
Was I chuckled.
All right, yeah.
I chuckled because I knew what the outcome was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew at that point, no, Indiana not going to win.
Yep. You just feel it. Sometimes you just feel it.
Oh, you felt it. I absolutely felt it.
Before it happened and then after.
Uh-huh. As soon as the shot was in the air, I'm like, yeah, well, that's going in. So that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
All right, let's stretch.
Okay, well, this is fun for some high school kids. Bryce Harper, I think some people have an impression of him. He's a fantastic baseball player.
Yes.
But he also seems to have a little bit of like a fun quirk to him because I don't know if there's any relation to this kid, but a high schooler named Jake Portello somehow got Bryce Harper to help ask his crush to the prom and had a promposal. And of course, the girl said yes, because why would you not? Bryce Harper's right there helping you with this whole situation.
Wow.
But I thought it was really cool. There's like a video. If you want to see it, you can search for it on the internet. But Bryce Harper, look at him with all this, extra time that he has going on, like helped some random kid go to the prom. So, yeah.
Good for him.
I know. Bryce Harper, look at him go. Now, moving on to something that I thought you would really be interested in. This is why I had to do this one today. Robert Plant with Led Zeppelin. Did you know that he has a complicated relationship with Stairway to Heaven?
Yes, I did know that.
Okay.
He's not a huge fan of it.
He is not a huge fan of it.
He is not.
I don't know if you knew this, but back in the year of 2002, he was in Portland, Oregon, and he was driving, listening to the radio, and a DJ was trying to raise money for a charity. And so he heard this, and the DJ was asking people to donate to the station. So he called in, donated, and asked them to never play Stairway again, ever.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Now, would you do that? If you were the DJ, would you do that?
Oh, but see, that's the thing. Forever, though, that's really up to the owner.
Forever is a long time.
A DJ could say, yeah, sure, and then take your donation. And then, 48 hours later, a new DJ's there.
I'm just saying, I mean, forever is a long time.
I know.
And you do have, listeners
right
to deal with. That's who you're answering to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, this amused Plant. He even told the Atlantic Records president about it, who also got a kick of it. But Robert Plant, the first time he had played it since then was 2007 at a cancer charity event. So he really doesn't like this.
No, he does not like the song.
He's really
I think he's just over it.
Yeah, I could understand that. I mean, there are certain artists who, that's what they sing. That's it.
Right.
Like Ricky Martin, I'm sure, his hit. He might be tired of
Which one is it? Is that La Vida Loca?
Or that one. Yeah, there's two of them. So here you go. Maybe he hates that
true.
one now, too.
Look, I have this. It's not really a running joke, but who's the Don McLean, American Pie?
Oh, yeah.
It's the only good song ever.
Right.
And people say, well, what about Vincent? I'm like, Vincent sucks.
Right.
So
Yeah.
stop with that.
Right. Yeah.
It's got one song.
I know. I wonder
That's
if
it.
Leonard Skinner, they have multiple,
Oh, no,
but
Skin-
Freebird. Are they tired of hearing Freebird?
Right.
I don't know. It's a thing. Hey, just be grateful that people want you to play anything.
I've told this story before. I don't know if you've heard it. I was listening to a cover band in an establishment. I think this was in Myrtle Beach, and they start playing "Sweet Home Alabama."
Oh.
And actually said, "Turn it up," because it's on the album.
It is, yes.
Because it's really just a little bit from the studio session. It has nothing. It's not a lyric.
No. No.
Those types of things just kind of make me mad.
You can leave that out.
Just sing the song.
Right. Don't
just
replicate
sing it.
If you're covering it, you can make it your own too. It's
Same
fine.
group did Jack and Diane and said he's sitting on whoever's sitting on somebody's lap, he's got his hands between his knees. Like, no, you screwed that up.
That's wrong.
Anyway, I apologize.
That's wrong.
We don't need this.
Oh, we could have a whole segment about songs that are
we
irritating.
We don't need this at all.
But this may not be irritating. Last but not least, France. I don't know who does this. It's kind of why I played the bump song that I did, because he talks about bread. France, as many know, the baguette is the symbol of national pride for...
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
The baguette?
It is. I didn't make that up. I read it.
All right. Okay.
So because of
as
this,
good as any, I guess,
they decided to make something that's almost completely irrelevant relevant again. Stamps. They now have made scratch and sniff stamps.
Smells like a baguette?
Yes.
Does it smell like a baguette? Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
They've recently released the baguette stamps.
Sure.
That the ink apparently has, quote, micro capsules that provide the scent. So, yes.
Of course it does.
You can get that, and if you look it up, it even has a baguette on there and everything. So go ahead and start scratching the stamps that you never
Perfect.
used to mail the mail you never mail anymore.
That is so funny.
So, yeah. But maybe we could write about the great bets we're about to make.
No chance of that.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
I have one more quick anecdote about that band.
Oh, yeah.
Also led into Soul Man. You know the song Soul Man?
Of course.
By calling it a Blues Brothers song. And, of course, the Blues Brothers have no songs.
Right. Yes, there's that.
John Belushi, and rest in peace, and Dan Aykroyd were singing everybody else's songs.
Exactly.
And, yes.
Exactly.
The band needed to be punched.
Maybe just Google.
So
maybe just Google things.
You go.
Google's a great thing. So yesterday, one of two, Brewers and the over, plus 174. Got that one. So might stick with baseball. But
you should.
I'm going with the ice today because we do have the Panthers and the Rangers. I think, even though they're in New York, I think the Panthers are going to win this one. This is a pick-em, basically. They're all minus 110. Give me the Panthers. I'm taking the under because it's set at 5.5, and these goalies aren't joking, so that is plus 245.
All right, let's do the other. Let's go the other way. Let's say Rangers win game 1 over 5.5.
Okay.
We'll see which one of us is getting it right.
Watch it.
I actually do lean toward the Rangers have not been favored in a game in these two series yet.
They keep winning.
Yes.
And they keep being
Rangers.
underdogs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this one right now is an absolute dead heat. So we'll go Rangers and over 5.5.
Yeah.
By the way, if you parlay that, it's 247.
Okay, and mine's 245, so it's almost basically the same thing. Now watch it be the opposite, where it's...
Of course.
Yeah. But either way, I think an anytime goal score in this game, potentially, because it could be anyone. Like, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carter Verhaeghe might be a good one for the Panthers. So anytime goal scorer, Verhaeghe plus 210.
All right, let's go down the board for an anytime goal scorer just for giggles. All right? I'm seriously down the board. Let's go Aaron Ekblad at plus 1,000.
Whoa.
For Florida. Aaron Ekblad plus 1,000.
Wow. Okay. Well, and like I said, I'm going to do a baseball bet. Me trying to buy a White Sox loss did not work for me yesterday, so not doing that one at all. However, I think I'm going to stick with my Cubbies. So I made a real bet and somehow skated by with that one last night. I don't think the Cubs are going to get it done today. Unfortunately, that was a tough one. Went into 10 innings, so give me the Braves. They're playing the Braves. And it to be under 8.5. That's plus 230.
All right. Caitlin Clark is playing tonight.
Okay.
They are in Seattle to take on the Storm. All right, we're going to do a 5-leg same game parlay. I'm just ripping this right off.
Oh man, if you had a boost on this
right
one,
off of FanDuel,
it'd be great.
Fever to win. Actually, I don't think the Fever are going to win. I'm going to change that. Fever are not going to win. It's just not going to work for them. Caitlin Clark, 20 or more points? Yes. Caitlin Clark, 3 or more made threes? Yes. Caitlin Clark, 6+ assists? Yes. 4 rebounds? Yes. if you think the Fever are going to win, that's plus 622. But Caitlin Clark is discovering that professionals are no joke.
Is much different.
And she knew this going in.
Sure.
But shouts to all of the bros who are like, see, she's not that
Told
good.
ya.
People.
Yeah. She's still great. She's still putting up points, even in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't played great yet because she's playing against, like, the other greatest players walking the earth and not against college kids. Like, this is not complicated. It just isn't complicated. All right, Charles Barkley and TNT have one more year. You'll hear some of Charles Barkley in Wall of Sound next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 919-400-5473. That's 919-400-5473. In Cary, Clayton, Raleigh, and Wake Forest, 919-400-5473.
It's bow time. Listen up, because we've got some big news to share. You might want to sit down for this. Bow Sauce is back at Bojangles. If you think you missed it, just imagine how our Supremes must have felt. Because there's no better sauce to pair with our crispy golden chicken Supremes. They're already boldly seasoned to perfection, but add Bow Sauce and you can taste a truly legendary combination that will make you want to yell, it's bow time. So don't wait. Grab a Supreme and dip into some Bow Sauce. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing to satisfy your craving for flavor with a Bojangles Chicken Supremes dinner. Choose a 3-piece or 4-piece Supremes dinner. Get your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea. And don't forget the sauce for dipping, because Bow Sauce is back. That's right, Bow Sauce is back. Hungry for flavor and value and love the Bow Sauce? Then it's bow time.
Sanja loves to bake, but her feet, they were throbbing. Then one day, I found a solution. Arch supports from the Good Feet store. Have foot pain? Good Feet could help.
You too can live the life you love with Arch supports from the Good Feet store.
It's Window Nation's semi-annual sale, and it's a big deal. Right now, get 50% off all windows, along with no interest for 5 years. Plus, bonus savings when you schedule a consult today. If your windows leak, get foggy or hot, or you're paying high utility bills, that's a big deal. With Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace your windows and save a big deal too. Schedule a no-obligation in-home estimate. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple of weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing, made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories, all without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver, all the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew, 30 seconds, that's it. Done. Peace.
This hour of buzzer-beating, nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat sports action on 99.9 The Fan is powered by
Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show.
Pitch to Sosa, swing, and a drive into right. Way back there. Winne at the wall. It's in the bullpen. Grand slam. 14-3. And that, my friends, is the ball game.
That was the one and only Tony Haynes. Wolfpack beat Wake Forest and 10-run ruled them. Apparently you get to a certain point in the game, and if it's a 10-run margin after the home team bats or after the trailing team has had the enough at bats, it's over. And there you go. State won that game 14-3. State and Virginia Tech tonight. Wake will play Pitt coming up in, I think the game is supposed to start in an hour. Those games generally are 11, 3, and 7. And State and Virginia Tech tonight at 7 in a game that does not matter a single bit, because even if the Wolfpack lose, let's just pick out a score, 200-0. The only thing that matters is what they do against Duke tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it. Because of the nature of the ACC tournament is that if there's a tie between two teams in terms of the standings, it's not even head-to-head. It is simply, I guess it is head-to-head, but if we end up with a three-way tie, everybody goes 1-1, which is possible, then the tiebreaker is simply the who is the higher seed. And State as the 3 seed, Duke as the 6. State wins any tie. The only way Duke could win a tie with State is if they can't both be 2-0. So the only tie we could get is 1-1. So if the Wolfpack lose today, they win tomorrow, they win the tiebreak. End of discussion. So that's unfortunate, but that's the way the rules are written in the ACC tournament. Jordan Martinook of the Carolina Hurricanes is going to join us in about 15 or so minutes. I caught up with Jordan over the weekend when the Hurricanes are doing all their exit interviews. Before we get to that, it's time for the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, we played the NBC NBA theme at the beginning of the show. And the reason for that is because the NBA is set to announce a brand new television package. And it is with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon. So next year is the last year for Charles Barkley and the Inside the NBA crew. And this is not anything topical. It's just part of the fabric that we're not going to get. And here's Charles Barkley and crew talking about, well, things.
I don't want the Beehive and Jay after Chuck. I apologize. I do not want the Beehive and Jay after me.
So how do you like Galveston now? It's beautiful.
We're not going there. Would you go on vacation?
You've got a
chance.
Hell
no, I ain't going on vacation.
You've got a chance to wipe the slate clean here.
You got to just say, I would go to Galveston. Let me tell you something. That water's so dirty, I'd rather go to San Antonio. I'd rather go to San Antonio with them big old women.
What?
No, I'm not going to Galveston. I want to go to the beach down in the river walk and watch them big old women walk around San Antonio.
So you know what? You know what sets him off. Okay, so you know what?
We're going to rather go, Chuck. San Antonio. That's what they invented Victoria's Secret, Jack. Why is it secret? Because them women down there, they can't get in them cute little underwear. They wear bloomers down in San Antonio. Oh, my God.
Somehow,
Victoria's Secret down there. It's still a
somehow we are going to transition from that to this.
You like no parts of Texas.
It's just, look, it's Charles Barkley is the show.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a great show, and they're really good about the way they cover the NBA, and next year will be the last year.
Yeah.
And it's sad because it is the gold standard of studio shows, even as ESPN was getting involved in it a few years back. And they have been through, I don't know how many iterations of their own studio show with their coverage of the NBA. And now Mike Greenberg hosts their primetime coverage. I think Greenberg does. Malika Andrews does studio stuff, but when they go to the finals, Greenberg will be there, I believe. And it's Stephen A. And I don't even know if Magic Johnson's still involved in it. He's no good at it, but he's been involved in it before. It is not even close. It's not even in the same galaxy as what TNT did.
Yeah.
It's too bad, but remember when the TNT owner said about 2 years ago, we don't need the NBA? We're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're going to find out if TNT needed the NBA. That's too bad, though. So the NBA now will be on NBC. We have the NBC music. Just roll that because people need to remember that this was a thing back in the day. Yeah. And you can hear Ahmad Rashad and Willow Bay getting ready for NBA Inside Stuff right now. Yeah, so it's really the end of an era. TNT has been doing NBA basketball for a long time now. They got into hockey, and by the way, their hockey coverage is also better than ESPN's.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Their studio stuff is also significantly better than ESPN's. I think ESPN's hockey stuff is better than their basketball stuff. But
still TNT's better.
It's way better.
Yeah.
It just has a different vibe to it. All right, back to the wall of sound, and let's get right to Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. They won the game, but they did not exactly put their best, not effort, their best performance out there. So Brown, knowing they have to be better.
I think it's always great to come out with a win, but obviously we got to tighten up in some areas, and we're going to watch the film. I think majority of it was just transition. I think they just, we knew they were going to be fast. It didn't surprise us, but it's one thing watching it on film and then seeing it in person. They just got out of a dogfight with New York, and it just felt like they was just flying by us, getting easy layups. We got to be better. We got to match their intensity if we want to win this series.
Yeah, they do, but here's the thing. I'm not going to say poorly, but as indifferently as Boston played last night, they still got the win. So they're going to play at a higher level. And as a result of that, they'll be fine. But Jason Tatum knows that they got away with it in game one.
It really just felt like we had a second chance, right? We didn't, the end of the third and fourth quarter, we didn't necessarily play well enough where we may have deserved the win, and obviously made some plays at the end. JB gave us a second chance by hitting that shot. We just talked about it in the huddle, right? We got a second chance. Let's take advantage of it. Let's not mess around, and let's figure out a way to win this game.
They had no business winning it. Indiana made several mistakes right at the end of regulation and then made even more mistakes in the overtime. And it was still closer than it should have been, but is what it is. When the Pacers, who are a significant underdog, when you have an opportunity to steal a game and you give it away, that just means the series is going to be short. Because Boston isn't going to play poorly or indifferently in game 2 and likely not in game 3 or 4. Still think the Pacers are capable of winning a game, but that was the game where you go, they might actually take this a long way. because I give them a very good chance of winning one of the two games in Indianapolis. But
for sure.
Boston is going to win game 2. Unless Boston decides they want to, sleepwalk through another game.
Play with their food some more.
In which case, it might not work out for them. All right, real quick. The Carolina Panthers, OTAs. We talk a lot about Bryce Young and what he needs to show in year 2. What about year 4 for J.C. Horn? What about year 4 for J.C. Horn, who, unlike the offensive side of the ball, actually has some continuity in the defensive coaching staff? Here's J.C.
It's always a benefit just staying within the same scheme. They don't really have to learn anything new. It's kind of just perfecting the scheme more and more. So it was a blessing to keep those guys on the defensive side of the ball, and it's made it an easier transition for everybody on the defensive side.
All right, now what really will be helpful is if J.C. Horn actually plays.
Just trying to be more vocal. Like we had Dante last year, and he was kind of that leader. So just learning some stuff from him and just trying to pick up where he left off and just influence the group in a positive way.
And if you play, you will do that, and you'll be allowed to use your voice.
Sure.
Because he has been available for basically 40% of Carolina's games the last 3 years. Just it, 40%. He has played in 22 of 54. 22 of 55 is exactly 40%.
Right.
So a little bit better than 41.5%.
Yeah. It's going to be hard for guys to look at you as a leader.
So, yeah. So he'll play, if you're a 17-game season, if you play 8 games, that would be about, so we need more than 8 games from J.C. Horn.
Yes.
All right. When we come back, speaking of somebody who the last couple of years has been very available, and I know Rod Brindamore would love for him to be very available for the Carolina Hurricanes and not another team next year, Jordan Martinook next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
As the Panthers offseason is underway, official team activities, optional team activities, can we please all remember who Bryce Young, the prospect, was? Do not be surprised if Dave Canales says he's smart. The guy wouldn't be drafted if he wasn't smart. He's not drafted for his physical tools. He's 5'10", 180 pounds. It's his brain.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here from my man, Coach Pete D'Arruda, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. And Coach Pete was in studio with me yesterday. And not only did he bring me his own Kona blend of coffee with his picture on the bag, which is hysterical, he also brought me another one of his best-selling books, a new one, The Ultimate AI Earning Guide. You can go to Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. They are fiduciaries, legally obligated to do right by you. They're not working on commission. They only do well when you do well. And set yourself up for retirement with a total customized retirement plan. It is $1,000 value, but if you call 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700 right now, we'll get you that for free. And we'll give you this book. 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700. Coach Pete D'Arruda, best-selling author, retirement planning guru to billions of people. Maybe not billions, but smart people like you. 888-843-0013 for Coach Pete D'Arruda.
Picture this, the perfect summer barbecue. No stress, no responsibilities, just all your friends, burgers sizzling, hot dogs cooking, Pepsi Zero Sugar fizzing, and a backyard of very, very happy people. Oh yeah, we could get used to this. Very, very used to this. Grilling. Better with Pepsi.
For a limited time, get 2 Pepsis for just $4 at Handy Hugo. So hurry in and enjoy an ice-cold Pepsi today.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event when Dave, the sales guy, asks, want to test drive the Rogue? And I'm like, let's go. We're driving when Dave says, check out the VC turbo engine. I hit the gas and whoosh. I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Dave goes, if you think that's cool, watch this. Dave shows me the miles per gallon and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty impressive fuel economy. Dave mentions, these new cars are going fast. And in that moment, I had to have that Rogue. Crazy, right?
Wait till you hear how I got my Sentra.
Now get 2.9% APR financing for 60 months on Rogue. Shop the Nissan sales event. Visit your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city, 34 highway to 30 city, 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. For well-qualified buyers, 2.9% APR financing for 60 months on new 2024 Rogue and dealer stock. Example, 60 months financing at $17.92 per month per thousand financed. Actual down payment may vary. Subject to residency restrictions and INMAC credit approval. Not all buyers qualify. Dealer contribution may affect actual price set by dealer. Contact dealer for details. N6324.
Oh. This North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club espresso is strong.
Pace yourself. New winners tend to overdo it on the coffee. And with new scratch-offs out, well...
Hey guys, I'm a new winner. My name's Steve. What's your name? I really love this coffee. Wow, this place is great. Glad I grabbed a new scratch-off. Okay, nice to meet you. Gonna get a massage. Ooh, I think I need to relax.
Told you.
This month's tickets pack $135 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.41 to 4.25. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Set your alarm. Memorial Day doorbusters are here at Lowe's. Save big on a Master Forge 3-burner gas grill for just $99. Plus, save over $500 on a Whirlpool top-load laundry pair, now only $896. Beat the rush for these limited-time deals before they're gone. Because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 5/27. Appliance offer valid on items 782472 and 670009. Price includes all discounts while supplies last.
This is Adam Gold.
So he's saying one thing and doing another, basically.
You pointed that out accurately.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a little... I was having Matt Rule PTSD there.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. I know our friend... Tim Donnelly from The Drive on 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh, who's on right after us locally here, talked about Canes and free agency yesterday, and I've been fielding a lot of questions from Hurricanes fans on Twitter, and this is the Adam Gold Show, and I cover the Canes, all that, you know that. And all the conversations seem to be about, and I understand why, Jake Gensel. Will the Hurricanes sign Jake Gensel? Brady Shea, Brett Pesce. What's going to happen with Martin Necas? Will the Hurricanes give Seth Jarvis the full 8-year contract? All of that. And those are all very important questions that are all very complicated stories. I would say the Jarvis one is not very complicated. The answer is, yeah, just do it.
Duh.
But the fascinating conversations for me about this team next year are about Jordan Martinook, about Jalen Chatfield, to a certain extent about Steph Nason. What kind of commitment are they going to make to Jack Drury? Like, there are a lot of questions about what this team is going to look like. But it's hard to close your eyes and not see Jordan Martinook here. And I talked with him after all the players come out individually and meet the media in their exit interview days. It was Sunday. And for my money, and I said this to Jordan, you're one of the core. Everything that Jordan Martinook is about mirrors the way Rod Brindamore wants to play. And I asked him about his thoughts on being connected, specifically to the Hurricanes' culture because of where they are as a group.
Yeah, connection to him and the team is, like, just as you said, we've been here through the turnaround, I guess you could call it, and to be able to be here for his whole time and be able to be a playoff team every year and have chances to try and win it, because that's all you really care about at the end of the day, is have a chance to win it.
Right.
And, just to like I think the other night I was thinking about it was like 6 or 7 of us that are still here, and you want to. I feel like I want to finish what we started, and that's winning a cup. So it's so hard to think about if it wouldn't. Like that's probably one of the biggest factors is if you ever left and then they won it, then you'd go bananas. So it's I'm just happy that I've been here for it feels like good times. Right now it doesn't, but they have been some good times.
Funny anecdote about me and you, real quick. When you were traded here, Sunheim called me and said, "Do you want to have Jordan on?" I'm like, I don't know who he is. Yeah. And then from the first moment I watched you play, it was like, oh, he's perfect for this group in this room. The leadership that you earned, and I know the younger guys look up to you and what you have meant to them. What does it feel like for you to watch their growth, whether it's Sebastian's growth or you talked about Seth before and his growth, and he loved playing with you.
Yeah, no, I tell my wife all the time, like it's going to be cool. In 20 years, I get to tell Chase and Ivy, even if she gets into hockey, that I got to play with Fishy and Jarvie and all these guys. Like I think that's the coolest part of this is being able to. I don't want to age myself and be 50 years old, but be able to look back and think of all the guys you played with. And I think that's the best part about a team sport is being able to create relationships and friendships that will last a lifetime, and being able to, like you said, I still feel young, but I'm older now, and to be able to watch these guys night in night out is pretty fun.
It looks like the last couple of years you've stayed relatively healthy, at least in terms of Jordan Martinook health, right?
Yeah, no, I have been. I feel like that's been a main factor of my success. I knew those 2 years where I was just battling everything, it felt like I knew that wasn't me. I knew I could produce at this level and be the type of player that I have been the last 2 years. And I feel like when you go through injuries and stuff like that, the self-doubt creeps into your head a little bit. That, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is as good as I am now. But I felt like I never had that. I knew I could do what I did, and happy that I've been healthy. Knock on some wood. I'll knock on your head.
There you go. I do it all the time.
But that's the big thing for me is just coming out of that.
All right. I know you. This is where you want to be. If you want to state the obvious, how important is it to you to stay here?
Yeah, I would love to stay. So I really hope we can get something worked out and. But at the end, I'll give the cliche answer that everybody else will give. It is a business, and we'll see what their side is and see what we come up with. But obviously the goal would be to stay here.
I'm kind of working backwards, so take me back to Thursday night, walking out of here, your drive home, what it was like going to bed, waking up Friday morning. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know, just kind of lost for words. I sat in my living room by myself and I stared at the TV that I don't even know what was on. And you just replay every scenario and every play in your head and what went wrong, and then you drive yourself nuts. And it's I still do it. I'll just kind of catch myself zoning out, and it's been like this every year you lose, you just start replaying everything and what could have happened, what should have happened, and it's brutal.
Is it different this year than it was in other years?
I think it has to be, because there's so much uncertainty around with all these guys. So I know last year we lost, but it was okay. We're gonna have another run at it, and this year it feels different. So
I heard you mention shouldn't have been down 3-0 to the Rangers. It's the Game 2, Game 3. Arguably, you were better than the Rangers in both of those games, and it didn't work out. People point to Game 6, but Is that where maybe you put yourself in a tough spot?
Yeah, I think so. Anytime you go down 3 and it's you're just in a hole, and I felt like I felt it that we could come back, and it felt like we were going to come back. Even in Game 6, like we're so confident going into the third period, and then obviously the wheels fell off. But I felt like if we got it to 7, we were definitely coming back.
I thought that save of yours. How was that?
Now it's kind of,
how did that not get to a Game 7?
Now it's kind of irrelevant now, which sucks. But yeah.
What's your? I'm going to tell you what I think your signature moment is here. It was in year 1. You with I don't know how many parts were messed up. Was it game 6 back here when you went on? I mean, you I don't know how much you played, but you were clearly broken.
Yeah.
And to me, the emotion you put forth early in that game set the tone for all of it.
Yeah. No, that was not a proud moment of in my life, just because of I think if I could look back on it, I probably wouldn't put my body through what I did. But that was my first taste of it, and I wasn't leaving. So I think the game or the series against Boston, I played games 1 and 2 up there, and I remember sitting in the training room and I couldn't really move. And I was ready to play game 3, and Roddy came in and he goes, "I can't play anymore. People are telling me I play." And he was going to be the one that had to tell me I couldn't play. So. Thank you. I'll take that as a signature moment because it means I'm pretty tough.
You are, and you're again. We'll wrap this here. Yeah. To me, you're core. You're part of the core. So I hope everything works out.
Yeah, thank you,
Jordan Martinook. You couldn't have more respect for a player than you have for that guy who is making the most of. I mean, he's a good player, but he is the typical foot soldier type player that you need to succeed in the playoffs. I'll just say this about Jordan Martinook, and we're going to take a break here. If they don't re-sign Martinook, one of the things that the Hurricanes need to do in this offseason is go find somebody who plays like Jordan Martinook.
Yeah, good luck.
I mean, I don't even know how else to phrase it, but one of the things, if there are 2 criticisms that I think are valid about the Hurricanes. The first is goaltending. And the second is you need to have, and Rod actually has explained it about why he didn't want Jarvis playing with Aho and Gensel. Because everybody's like, well, put that line back together. And Rod has said it's not big enough. It's not heavy enough as a line, and in the playoffs, it'll just be taken out. So that's why Andrei Svechnikov played there, and they were effective anyway. But I think the fairest criticism about Carolina, other than goaltending, is that they can be pushed around. I don't believe that's why they lost to the Rangers.
No.
But I could argue that was the biggest difference against Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That Florida was a bigger, heavier, meaner team. And I'm not saying that Jordan Martinook is a mean player, but you need more guys who are 6 foot, 6'1",
huge,
2.25, 220. You need more players like that. So if you move on from Jordan Martinook, you got to go find somebody who plays like Jordan Martinook. And it helps that he plays in all situations and scores some big goals.
And he's a fun guy.
I love Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan's great. He is part of the culture of this team. And there are just 7 players who made the playoffs in 2019 that are still here. The others are all, well, I shouldn't say they're all original Hurricanes because 2 of them are definitely not. Teuvo Teravainen.
Yep.
And Jordan
Hawks.
Stahl.
Yeah.
Jordan Stahl. Aho, Teravainen, Svechnikov, Stahl, Pesce, Slavin, and Martinook. Those are the 7 original members of this playoff run.
Hate to see them leave.
Three of them are, well, no, three. Two of them are definitely going to go, I think. Yeah. I hope Martin, I hope they all stay, but they need more. They need a player like Jordan Martin. All right, when we come back, and I'll just say that everybody knows the value of a Jackie Robinson. Everybody who is a sports fan knows that Robinson broke baseball's color barrier and integrated the game. It's not as plain in other sports, and it is in many ways forgotten, which could be a failure of, well, people like me, because it's not always super fun to talk about these things, even though we talk about them. So there's a new book out, and a recent passing has caused us to bring on the author of that book, even though we have talked to him several times before. Tom Shanahan joins us to talk about the now late Bob Grant, who played football at Wake Forest and passed away Monday. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
From the food we eat to the clothes we wear, agriculture touches every corner of our daily lives. I'm Lee Ivey, Director of the Agricultural Institute at NC State University. With the world's population growing, we need people equipped and trained to meet the needs of our future. In our program, we rise to meet that challenge every day, and our students are engaged and invested. Learn more about our program online by searching NC State Ag Institute. Deadline for fall enrollment is June 1st. 2 years, 1 degree, endless possibilities.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we like calling North Carolina home because being local matters. It's why in every county, we have agents whose hometown is your town. That means we're there when you need us most, with personal service you'd expect from a friend or neighbor. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Friday Night Lights returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Get ready for tailgate tangling, bumper banging action when the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series gets ready to rumble in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Friday night, May 24th. Be there when NASCAR's rising stars put on a show at America's home for racing. Kids 12 and under get in free. It's the perfect kickoff to your Memorial Day weekend. Get your tickets at charlottemotorspeedway.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Grab a frosty mug and try the newest flavor from Bluebell, A&W Root Beer Float Ice Cream. A creamy vanilla-flavored ice cream swirled together with an A&W root beer flavored sherbet. A new way to enjoy your favorite root beer float.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
The PGA Tour's next stars return to Raleigh for the UNC Health Championship. May 30th to June 2nd, hosted a few short miles from downtown at Raleigh Country Club. Feel the excitement watching Korn Ferry Tour professionals compete at one of the Triangle's most exciting sporting events of the year. From the stadium-style 17th hole to the expansive viewing areas, it's a fan experience you won't want to miss.
Great golf and great food from Empire Eats Restaurants and Two Roosters Ice Cream. Get your ticket today at UNCHealthChampionship.com.
May is Older Americans Month, and this year we celebrate being powered by connection, the profound impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on our health and well-being. Learn how AARP can help you find those connections and get the most out of life by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
NC Medicaid is healthcare coverage for more North Carolinians. Just go to medicaid.nc.gov and fill out the needed information. Or call our Medicaid Contact Center. You can put pen to paper and fill out an application. And email, mail, or drop it off at your local Department of Social Services. And you can work with a navigator like Marvell at your local library. Don't wait, you can apply at any time and get covered starting the date of your application.
NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
This is Adam Gold.
That answer fails on so many levels. Part of me wants to start the answer again and then stop it after each time. Is that a good idea, Victoria?
No.
That's great. Did you do that on purpose?
I did.
You did? At the end, that was brilliant.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. Monday of this week, the ACC lost one of their legendary football players. Former Wake Forest linebacker Bob Grant passed away. The stunning part of this story is that no one reported it. I mean, no kidding. Not even Wikipedia. He has a Wikipedia page. Not even his Wikipedia page had reported that he had passed away on Monday. I mean, he's in the Wake Forest Sports Hall of Fame. He is one of the players who helped integrate ACC football, or at least ACC football in the South. So, I mean, it's just an incredible story. Tom Shanahan is joining us, author of multiple books, including The Right Thing to Do. This is the latest, The True Pioneers of College Football Integration in the 1960s. And Bob Grant is a very big part of this story. And quickly behind the curtain, Tom messaged me yesterday to see if I would be interested, and I did a wiki search on this. I did. And I'm like, okay, so, because I didn't know who Bob Grant was. And so I go online, and I see Bob Grant stories, but there's no mention that Bob Grant passed away. I'm like, do we have this right? I mean, so, as it turns out, yes, he did. He did pass away on Monday. So, Tom, walk me through what Bob Grant meant to Wake Forest, what he means to college football. And again, I still can't believe that not even his Wikipedia page had it.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Adam. And that's part of the problem with the true story of college football integration is it's a long, complicated story that involves a lot of people. Whereas the Bear Bryant myth with Sam Cunningham is a snappy parable, easy to repeat. And it's been a sports journalism failure then and now that in the 1960s, the sports media basically avoided race.
Right.
So guys like Bob Grant, who we're here to talk about today, the Wake Forest legend, were lost to history. And then it remains a sports journalism failure today because the media, and I never thought I'd be so critical of the media as someone who spent their careers as a sports writer. The media has been so comfortable with these Sam Cunningham and Bear Bryant myths based on zero facts that they continue to sell it. But anyways, Bob Grant has a special place in college football history and North Carolina history. Bob Grant went to Georgetown High School in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and he came out in 1964. And his plan was to ride the Underground Railroad to Michigan State with Jimmy Ray, because Michigan State was a North Star for black Southern kids. But at the time, Wake Forest decided we're going to take the lead here and desegregate our program. And although it's true, Maryland was the first ACC school with a black player, Darrell Hill, in 1963. Darrell was a senior transfer. Bob Grant and two others were the first black high school recruits recruited by a major Southern Conference school, and that's Wake Forest. And that was in 1964. Bob had a great career for Wake Forest. And then in 1968, he was a second-round draft pick by the Colts, and that made him the first black player from a major Southern Conference drafted by the NFL. Those are two important moments in history, and Bob deserves credit for it. And unfortunately, Bob has passed away on Monday. He was struggling with his health. And just the example, like you say, that the news hasn't really spread shows you the injustice of him not having his proper place in history.
Yeah, we're talking with Tom Shanahan, longtime sports writer, author. We'll give you the litany of books. And I know one of your most recent books is being made into a documentary. I know you were just out in Boulder, Colorado, where you did a book signing out there. I think that's where the filmmaker is based. I want to dig in on that, but I'm just baffled because when you sent me this note, I guess it was I think it was yesterday. You sent me this note, and I'm reading it. I'm like, okay, I don't know who Bob Grant is, which is my fault. And so I went to the internet, and like even Wake Forest doesn't have notation. He was inducted into the Wake Hall of Fame. He's from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Like, I was surprised that Wake doesn't even have this news, but apparently they do have the news. They're just waiting for some logistics to kind of work through before they make some sort of an announcement, right?
Yeah, that's correct, because I was surprised, too, not to see anything on their website, because Bob has also been honored by the NCAA in 2021, I think it was, for the Inspirational Award, and they're waiting for the family to let them release it, but it's news. It's beyond the point where you got to wait for the family.
Right.
The teammates, Bill Overton, who was one of Bob Grant's teammates. Bill's was one of the early black players at Wake Forest. He informed me, and Bill has informed all the teammates. So it's not going to be shocking to anybody. The family, I guess, maybe is just being overly careful. But again, that wouldn't happen to Sam Cunningham, who had virtually no role in the integration of college football. That game was in 1970, and all Sam Cunningham did, and I don't like to make this sound like I'm criticizing Sam Cunningham. It's criticism of the people who made up the myth and the sports journalism community for buying it. All Sam Cunningham did was run through massive holes opened by five white offensive linemen, because people don't understand this either. USC only had 4 black starters in that 1970 game, and the reason was because they were still shedding their years from the 1960s when they followed the unwritten rule throughout college football that coaches didn't want more than a half dozen black players.
Tom Shanahan is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I'm fascinated by, like, I think movies have told us and explained to us that Branch Rickey, he did not bring Jackie Robinson to the major leagues because he felt like black athletes deserved an opportunity. Branch Rickey wanted to win, and he recognized that there were great players who happened to be black, and there's no reason why those players should not be part of Major League Baseball. I mean, so in many ways, that's a myth, too. I'm just fascinated by the culture that would have us wait so long. Baseball was well before, in terms of public integration for sports. I think there were black athletes prior. I think there were black players in the NFL or maybe the NBA prior, but it was, then there were rules against it. What was the fascination behind what your research tells you, especially football? What was, because this is what this is about. What was the basis for not having black athletes play?
Racism. That's pure and simple racism. In fact,
they didn't want to win.
that's the strange question. Yeah, that's how strong racism was. Shirley Povich, the great Washington Post sports writer, who was very critical of the Washington. They were called the Redskins, of course, back then, for being the last NFL team to integrate. Shirley Povich was asked why weren't sports writers in the 30s and 40s prior to Jackie Robinson more supportive of integration? And Shirley Povich's comments was, I'm afraid most of them agree with having an all-white baseball league.
That is probably true, and we all know the history of the Washington football franchise. It took a long time for that name to be so normalized that nobody cared.
Yeah. All of the integration stories, like you mentioned, Jackie Robinson, the sports media tends to hook on a simple story. Jackie Robinson, of course, is a great story, but he didn't change America overnight. He endured a lot of abuse.
Sure.
First season. There was a couple years, maybe even 3 years before Branch Rickey allowed him to retaliate against the abuse he endured on the field. And it's the same thing with college football. All kinds of pioneers throughout the 1960s cleared a path to make that 1970 USC-Alabama game possible. And it started with Duffy Daugherty's Michigan State teams. They were the first fully integrated rosters in college football. And here's another fact people don't know. In 1964, Michigan State came down to North Carolina and played at Chapel Hill. And that was the first time a fully integrated team played in the South. And Clinton Jones, who's in the College Football Hall of Fame, he scored a touchdown there. And so did Gene Washington, who's also in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I've noted in my book and then videos I've done on my website, I stole a line from Shirley Povich, who talked about Jim Brown scoring at Washington and integrating the Washington end zone. I said that Clint Jones integrated Kenan Stadium's end zone. But these guys, it's a long process, and that's what my new book is about, the right thing to do, the true pioneers of college football integration in the 1960s. And it's all kinds of stories about Michigan State leading the way, not only Michigan State leading the way with Duffy Daugherty's teams, but Duffy's assistant coaches, when they became head coaches, followed his blueprint of ignoring quotas. So you have Dan Devine at Arizona State, Missouri, and even Notre Dame in the 70s, expanding opportunities. You had Bob Devaney winning 2 national titles in Nebraska. And you had Chuck Fairbanks, who wasn't a coach for Duffy, but he played under Duffy at Oklahoma. You had Bill Yeoman, who was on Duffy's staff, who went to Houston and desegregated Houston's program. You had Sonny Grandelius, who was on Duffy's staff, and he started recruiting more black players at Colorado, which is why I was out there for that Boulder book signing, because there's an incredible story that the general public does not know. The 1961 Colorado football team threatened to boycott the 1962 Orange Bowl after winning the Big 8 title because they had played a non-conference game earlier in the year at Miami, and the 5 black players on their team were not allowed to stay in the hotel or eat with them or even ride on the bus. And so when they got back to Boulder, Joe Robick, College Football Hall of Famer, Rhodes Scholar, he called a team meeting and he explained to everybody what happened, because these trips they're in and out. Half the guys didn't even realize what happened. Joe Robick said, this is not going to happen again. So it was really an empty promise because Colorado was an underdog.
Right.
But here they won the Big 8. The Orange Bowl representatives were all excited in the locker room presenting their official invitation. And Joe Robick got up and said, we're not going unless you do something about Jim Crow in Miami. And the Orange Bowl backed down. Nobody knows that story. That would be a 24/7 story today.
It would be a 30 for 30.
Yeah, and it's a crime. It's an injustice to all these moments that happen. And the individual black players in the South, like Bob Grant at Wake Forest, Jerry Levias at SMU, James Owens at Auburn, before Alabama desegregated, Lester McLean and Jackie Walker at Tennessee. And Kentucky was the first SEC school to desegregate in 1966. And it's just a shame. And again, I'll repeat this as much as I can, it's a sports journalism failure.
Yeah, it is.
Then and now.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's because it's not easy, right? It's not easy to tell these stories. It's not easy to make them enjoyable, I guess, if that's probably a bad word, to a broad audience. Because these are stories about history more than they are stories about sports. And if we have more time, I would love to dig into just how important, just to get back to our friend Jimmy Ray, how important it was for him, right, to see the South, because he's from Fayetteville, he's from here, to see the South finally get dragged where they should have been a long time ago. We'll have to sit that for another time. But these stories they're hard to digest for a lot of people, whether they harbor these feelings or not, right? Because it's not about the final score of a game or who hit this many home runs and scored that many touchdowns. It's difficult to dig into. Tom Shanahan, first of all, great work as always. Thank you for keeping me apprised of what you're doing and where you are, and I want to do this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on and letting me tell the story.
Man, all we got to do is get you cranked up. That's all we got to do. I should just put a starter's pistol. Go.
Real quickly, Adam. You talk about Jimmy Ray and what he did as a black quarterback, the South's first black quarterback to win a national title. Jimmy Ray is also a mentor to all the black coaches that you see in the NFL, and that's why I asked Ruffin McNeil to write the forward for me, because growing up in North Carolina, he knew about Jimmy Ray, and he was inspired by Jimmy Ray to get into coaching. So the forward to my new book is written by Ruffin McNeil, who everybody knows is a great guy, great coach.
One of the nicest human beings walking earth. Tom Shanahan, I thank you so much for your time. We'll do it again.
Thanks.
Thanks to Tom Shanahan for stopping by. A couple of more minutes left. Somebody posted this question on Twitter today, and I know you're a baseball fan.
Yes.
Victoria. So I'm going to ask the question here.
Okay.
So the Twitter feed is baseball's greatest moments, and it's a picture of Bud Selig at a podium with the last baseball commissioner, with the current baseball commissioner, Rob Manfred, behind him. And the question is, if you became Major League Baseball commissioner, what would be your first move?
Ooh.
It's a great question.
It is a great question.
So this was my answer. I went, first of all, retire, in quotes, Angel Hernandez, the umpire who is clearly the worst in the history of organized baseball.
Yes.
But also, I would eliminate extra innings and settle it with a home run derby.
Oh, okay.
And not that I love home run derby, because I really don't, but I do think that extra inning games, anytime a game impacts other games, and sometimes extra inning games impact the next game, the next two games, and I'm not in favor of that. Injuries are one thing, but I am simply talking about normal, like you shouldn't be playing a second game. And I also understand that the gimmick of putting a runner on second base is silly. I get that.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Not in love with home run derby, but if we have to have a winner, and I wish we didn't have to have a winner, but if we have to have a winner, let's just do that.
Yeah.
People like home runs.
Oh, yeah. People love home runs.
So there you go.
The 90s especially. That's when home runs
like
were.
steroids, needles sticking out of your arms.
Exactly.
So
yeah. My first instinct was the like a robotic ump because, dude, people calling strikes or balls when they are obviously not.
It's not good.
That was frustrating me yesterday during my Cubs game.
It's not good. Somebody did reach out and said automatic strike zones.
Yes.
I get it. This is where I'm a little weird. I want to be better.
Yeah.
I don't want bad umpiring. I want good home plate umpiring.
Yes.
But I do think that there is an element of pitching that is an art form.
It is.
So I get it. It's supposed to be linear, and there's a box. And if it goes through the box, because the box is a line, it's not three-dimensional, right? The strike zone's not three-dimensional.
Right.
It's the front of home plate.
Yep.
So actually, it might be it could be any part of home plate, to be honest. But maybe it's three-dimensional. Poor by me. But I do kind of like the idea of being able to fool an umpire into thinking a ball is a strike, right? But the other part of that is strikes should never be called balls. Ever be called balls. So I understand.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Daniel, this is, I think, brilliant, and this is going to be the last thing for us. Abolishing interleague play.
Oh.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's uneven. We're only competing with teams in our own conference, and because we can't play, the schedules can't be the same. In the NBA and the NHL, they're the same. Because we can't do that in Major League Baseball. Let's just, one series is enough. Mets, Yankees, Cubs, White Sox. We're done. See everybody tomorrow. Thank you, Victoria.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook with a great offer. Just follow what I did yesterday, but first thing you have to do is you have to register. Go to FanDuel.com, promo code AdamGold, FanDuel.com, promo code AdamGold. Make your first $5 wager, as I did last night, and win or lose, we're going to send you $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed, so